It is Friday the 13th of March 2026. It is almost 30 minutes past 1 p.m. A very good afternoon, or perhaps a very good morning or evening, depending on where you happen to be at this point in time in the world. Gonna go ahead and continue on with our free space until the Mega Man Star Wars Legacy Collection releases in, I think it's exactly a week. Let me check. Yeah, in exactly 2 weeks. On Fridays, that will be fun. We're going to be streaming some more European Universalis 5, which is relevant on two fronts. For one, because Victoria 3 has just announced their new package of things, or the new season, which is going to be focused not on the area that we're going to be playing, but it is Paradox interactive game that hasn't shit the bed yet. So that's good. And the other reason is that on Wednesday there shall be county elections in my country, and therefore it feels appropriate to be streaming as my country. Which is exactly what we are gonna be doing. But first, I hope everyone had a good week. As for me, I mean, I've not been streaming for a reason, is all I'll say. So we're gonna jump in immediately. I do have a screen open with the EU5 campaign event tracker, because good lord, if there is one thing that this game genuinely really sucks at, it is making sure that you know what's going to happen. So, or what you need to do in order to make stuff happen. So there are like many things that allow you to check on that. As for us, our goal is simple, and yet also really difficult at the same time. See, our goal is to become the Netherlands before the year 1450, which is when the first Dutch events start triggering. So that gives us about 100 years, should be doable, but with a couple of quantifiers attached. Those funky little quantifiers are: one, I need to be able to do so without accidentally triggering a coalition war, which is more difficult than it seems, and two, becoming a republic before the year 1450 arrives, because just about every single event of the Netherlands requires you to be a republic, which, as it turns out, is reasonably difficult if you start off as a monarchy. In the meantime, we are loading game resources. I have made some changes. Yeah. Come on, can we move files? As well as a couple of stuff. There is like no real goal, and to be honest, it's not gonna be a thing where I'm gonna be streaming the entire campaign. My computer would not be able to handle that. But instead, we're just gonna go ahead, have fun, you know, try and stream at a minimum once a week at the moment until the Star Wars Legacy Collection comes out. Because the honest answer is I've been busy with trying to fix my own life, which yeah, that takes a while. So yeah, also for those of you who are on YouTube are wondering what is going on with the title, I've just copied the title partially from Twitch, changing one or two things here. Changing one or two things in order to avoid certain words. It essentially means that you can speak Dutch or English to me and I shall speak back in that language. And Free Space is a series of streams where we just roll and have fun. And yes, we shall be doing this on, there we go, with achievements enabled. As for the content, well, we got a couple of country bonuses, including the Dutch shipbuilding industry, which we shall get, I believe, at a later point. As Holland, we do start off with the Dutch country bonuses, and there are 31 dynamic historical events. For Holland, it's interesting that the Netherlands is actually a tier 2 nation. Which is interesting, but I can see why. The other reason, actually, that I'm going for Holland, or at least the Dutch region, is because of a rather interesting quirk. I'm gonna explain what that quirk is in a moment. See, the Netherlands isn't its own language region. The Netherlands is actually part of the German language dialect. So if we go to dominant languages, you can see here it says over here German. Because I could have started as my Frisia, which is, you know, Friesland Boppe. But the Netherlands, or Dutch rather, is considered a language dialect. It's considered the dialect of German. Now, I personally have advocated against this because I feel that the cultural and the language differences, even though it was very much continuing, like people over here in Emma, I believe, would have understood their neighbors across the border a lot more than in Dordrecht, than they would have understood people in Dordrecht. But at the same time, like, there is... Like, you kind of need to make and I understand you kind of need to make a judgment call, but the same could be said about Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian. Like, those languages can still be are essentially still mutually intelligible to this day. So it's kind of like, if you're gonna make the argument for Norway, for these all being their own, I believe they're all their own separate languages. Let me see here. Oh no, they were all part of Scandinavian, my bad. Point here is that as a result of this quirk, as a result of the Dutch being part of the Germanic language family to some extent, and the Germanic language group, we actually double dip. So if you play in, say, Brandenburg or in Lower Bavaria, then the only thing that you get, and the same is actually true for Austria as well, they also double dip for the same reason, for the same cultural reasons. As Holland, we gain access to the Dutch and Holland advances, but we also, such as maritime warfare, but we also gain access to the German advances. Because we are part of the German group, we essentially double dip. And this is true not only for the Netherlands, I should mention, it's true for Austria, and I believe it's true for Bohemia as well, but I'm not 100% certain. I can actually check that. I still sometimes forget where everything is. Cozy groups, there we go. Okay, so it doesn't... I mean, I guess it technically counts. Oh dear lord. Paradox, why do you make it so difficult for me to find what I need to find? Cozy groups, there we go. No? Good lord. Anyway, point there is that I believe this is true for... I wanna say Bohemia as well, but I'm not certain. I know it's true for Austria. Austria double dips as well with their own unique advances and also the German group advances. But it's more interesting for Holland because of the fact that there is no such thing as a Hollandish tech group. I mean, technically there is, but even when you become the Netherlands, you will still double dip. Even though at that point it feels like you should be kicked out, but doesn't matter. The point is we're allowed to double dip. We're gonna make use of that. We're allowed to double dip on both Dutch and German advances. Whereas something like Lunenburg only gets the German advances, which is always fun. Which, to be honest, it's pretty clear that it's meant to be that way. I think that the developers absolutely would have figured out that something was funky if it wasn't allowed. Anyway, let's go. But anyway, Holland, yes. So we have a couple of things we need to do. First of all, Republic. How do we become a Republic? Well, good question. First of all, how do we become a duchy? The answer is we're gonna kiss the Emperor's rosy cheeks until they agree. At least once we've gotten some more stuff. And we can only do that once the Golden Bull has been advanced. But that will happen at some point. Anyway, in order for the Dutch to get their funky events, the majority of the funky events, we need to reform into Republic. Because it turns out that the Netherlands in this game is considered a Republic, which is technically true. It's always been, the Netherlands is always interesting in that it's until 1815 is considered a republic monarchy hybrid to some extent, in that we had we sort of like had things of both. Like, we had a ruler that technically was chosen, but was always from the House of Orange family, so it was, for all intents and purposes, a hereditary republic. But then we also used to call them the princes, which leads to monarchical elements in it. Like, it's every game is a bit different. Like, I believe EU4 made the Netherlands a kingdom with republic elements, and EU5 then moves into a different direction where it's like a republic with monarchical elements. Which all sounds very confusing, and it is. It's not a fun thing to have to learn when you live in this godforsaken hellhole. But yeah, so what do we need to do? Well, first of all, a burger state needs to have more than 1/3 estate power. That will change as we get certain things going. And the important one, and the most difficult one to get, is we need to have greater or equal to 95 plutocracy. And that's a bit of an issue. And that is why I have an idea, and it could very well not work out in the slightest, which is we're going to be switching stuff around. We're going to start with war, we're going to do warring, and since we're in the Holy Roman Empire, it is going to cause a lot of antagonism. But then, during the downtime, we're going to be moving our laws away from monarchies away from aristocracy into plutocracy. There's a lot of stuff we need to do for that. A couple of the big ones is the nobility estate power, although that will lower over time as is. We need to get rid of aristocratic courts. Former guilds we can keep. The right to inherit is next to impossible to get rid of for now. That will change in due time. Land rights is a question if we even want to change that, but we might give them that at a later point in time again. Like, it's sort of like a thing of like, okay, we want to do that, which means we need to also get rid of auxilium and consolium at some point, because those are the three big ones, compared with aristocratic court. But we can change that first thing if we want to. So how are we going to get rid of all of these things? Well, that's where the second thing comes in. We need to do a couple of other things. We need to get humanism up. For the Dutch, for the Dutch Renaissance. Innovativeness is always nice to have. There's a lot that we're gonna need to do if we want to get these events rolling. But the important one is communalism. Like, communalism is gonna be very important because it gives us a minus 50% on revoke privilege cost, which only means we only spend 50 stability instead of the usual. We only spend 50 instead of 100. It's gonna be painful. But at the same time, so be it. We have about 100 years to get all of this going. Also, we have the Dutch dialect with German. So, yeah. There's a lot we're gonna need to be changing, but I did find myself a little cheat sheet, which is, although it's technically a cheat sheet for humanism, and there's an ad break going over on Twitch, so we can just kind of talk before we start the game. I'm thinking of moving this into no censorship for the innovative and humanist, but the problem is the individualism, and we are currently only gaining 0.5 towards communalism. We can also move same religion, but like I said, like the figure is humanist isn't that important at the moment, but it is still useful to keep in the back of our minds. One of the things that we want to change at some point is religious teachings towards the more German artisans, if only to make sure that we actually. Good morning. If only to make sure that we gain more humanism and innovativeness. One thing we do want to start early, which is a bit weird because there's a founding town cost here, but the Netherlands is already or the Low Countries are already a highly industrial or highly urbanized region, even already at the start of the game. We've got Amsterdam, we got The Hague, Dordrecht, Utrecht, Zwolle, Deventer over here, Zutphen, Groningen, Ljouwert will become a town. Same with... I kind of want to at the very least put like the towns in the historical location. So Arnhem will become a town, Ljouwert will become a town at some point. Probably Maastricht starts off as a town as well, like Den Bosch over here, Breda. Like, for all intents and purposes, the founding town cost is useful, same with the expanding mine, but we're in the Netherlands. Like, we're in the Netherlands. We're in the Low Countries. Like, if you go to RTOs, there is no mining to speak of. There is a bit of iron down south. But even then, you're like at the very borders of the Low Countries. Like, there is next to no mining to speak of. So one of the rules that we want to change early on is the mining law towards burgher controlled for plutocracy and capital economy, which is actually really important because as the Netherlands historically was more focused on trade and thus more of a capital economy kind of guy. And it still gives us a minus 10% to expand mining cost. Like, it's still useful. So it's there's a lot that we're going to be doing. Like, mining law is going to need to be changed. Borders, more than happy with that, to be honest. As for gold and silver laws, that's the one thing I'm not sure about. Like, for now we can keep it on gold and silver coins. Because, like, we have, like, no gold or silver whatsoever. Like, we're gonna be, like, it's just, yeah. Like, technically we can use bullion, but even copper just isn't a thing for us. So I'm currently going over everything to make sure that I... Tradition Marshall State, we kind of want to move Marshall State away from Marshall State once we have the Dutch borders. Same religion gives a spiritualist. We can move to any religion for humanist and for some weird funky stuff. If we really want to. But there's no reason for us for that yet. Monogamous marriage is obviously, you know, we're Christians. Levy laws, quantity. I mean, it works. Protect trade routes. They're happy with that. Once again, we can go to shipwright standard regulations for capital economy. Hey Joshua, how you doing? How have the first steps into Ishgard been for you? But one of the things we actually do want at some point is to get rid of, not necessarily early, but we do want to get rid of traditional distribution. The crown power minus 10% is massive, including the decentralization. But as the Netherlands, we might actually want to keep decentralization. The Netherlands was famously a decentralized country, or at least famously if you are Dutch. But we might want to temporarily move traditional distribution over to favor the wealthy for the plutocracy stuff. Also gives us access to maximum tax for burgher estate, which is useful, and the agenda impact, which, given the fact that we are gonna be minting money like there ain't no tomorrow, that's useful because the burghers are in control of the agenda that allows us to get rid of a bunch of inflation. Obviously, we also have the feudal system, which we don't really care too much about, to be perfectly honest. Like, you could go central council, but that is aristocracy. That's not what we want. By tradition, I mean, by blood is useful for the speed of integration, but the only vassal we have is Zeeland. Like, that's not happening. Civil law is legislative efficiency. It is useful, including with centralization, but once again, as the Netherlands, you're gonna be playing a decentralized game. But the big one, and the one that we want to change after we've done our first war in, say, 3 years, is aristocratic court. We want to move aristocratic courts to court of culture or balanced courts for the simple reason that it's a plus 10 to aristocracy. We want to get rid of that. Also, the expected cost of court can really ruin you. Like, it can absolutely ruin a small nation if you're not careful. Let's go ahead and do this. Boerentax. Yeah, I mean, fuck farmers, right? Good lord. We are starting off strong. Also got stability. But yeah, how have you been doing, Joshua? Also, good morning to you. So we start with strengthen government. And we might want to do increased province control. I mean, stability is also useful. There's a couple of things that are useful. Developed province isn't. We can do societal value changes to communalism to get a head start on that. And to be honest, that sounds like a reasonably solid idea. Now, to be fair, communalism will be relatively easy to max out through the Black Death, which will happen in about 20 years. But yeah, the thing here is, in order to get to 95 plutocracy, which is what we want, we need to hit 0.95 on this scale. Like, we essentially need to move this over to plus 0.95, because it's a times 100 modifier on how far left or right you can go. But now let's go ahead and move into the estates, because there's a couple of things we want to do here as well, mostly in the form of the burgerij. Which is, we want to essentially get stuff, whatever stuff is useful for, well, first of all, monthly inflation is relatively useful. Burgers are currently giving us taxes of, maximum tax of, that 10% is, might want to do that at a later point. Let me see here. We want at a minimum everything that gives us plutocracy, meaning building rights. Congratulations. Like, the minus 10% on maximum tax will yield investments for capital economy, production efficiency for capital economy, for land of commerce. Is useful maritime presence, is useful same with trade model. There's a couple of things that are actually rather useful. Tax efficiency for treasury rights, though, is... Tax efficiency is next to impossible to get a hold of early on. Like, the earliest you can get it as Europe, like a permanent modifier, is like the, I want to say the 1500 or 1400s. Then for the geestelijken, let's see here, you're gonna be hearing a lot of Dutch in this particular stream. Just gonna need to deal with it. There we go, monthly progress towards communalism for stability investment. Oh, that's actually not that bad. Also gives us access to education to devout. Oh, interesting. We also now have access to devout education. Ah, interesting. And as for boeren, we will always give them... Oh, thank you. Hi, documentary. How are you doing today? We are currently pissing off all of our... we're currently pissing off our elite. Let's see here. Anything else that gives us access to... No. No, that's not true. Oh, access to royal and ecclesiastical courts. Although the Adel would be genuinely pissed off, so what we are going to do instead for now is make them less pissed off. Also, for those of you who want to know what is the title a reference to, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. It's you can worry about it at a later point in time. just don't worry about where what the exact thing what I am referencing with 1672, worst year of my life. In the meantime, let us now go ahead and get working on how many we can do. 2 at the moment, 2 more at the start of 2 months from now. Let me see here. If we don't want to piss off France too much, Münster is always gonna be a rival. They have a habit of annoying me. Oh, hang on, and we can also do government reform as just in general. The one that we want, it isn't available yet to us because we aren't Dutch, but the one that we want is a big reform called de Zeven Verenigde Nederlanden, I believe. Anyway, we are gonna go ahead and get Trade Office Network, additional plutocracy, what we want. And one of the few ways that we can actually currently move the slider towards plutocracy, can start seeing here that everything is becoming more evened out, which is good. Which is very good. Yeah, aristocratic court is the first to go. And we can see we already have communalism. Like, individualism is useful. The army and navy morale of plus 10% is definitely good. But early on, I feel that the revoke privilege cost and the estate satisfaction equilibrium is just more useful. Otherwise, we are going to need to wait until the age of absolutism, and by that point, a lot of Dutch events have already fired. As for our first target, we shall see. Anyway, as in Holland, we have access to Zeeland, we have access to a couple of cities. We are going to get rid of, at a minimum, 1 fort. And we have access to a navy. We want to start with organized religion and guild for the max literacy and then classical scholasticism, because we never know where it's gonna fire. Something I did notice though, I have practiced with this, we can actually get the new world. We as Holland, we can get the new world. All we need to do is steal some maps from Castile. So we're gonna piss off the Spaniards a few hundred years early. As for what we are gonna be focusing on, do I want to for now... With Brabant. Okay, let me first of all go ahead. Form a new country. We want to try and create the OG Dutch borders, if possible. As much as possible, because I'm a proud Dutchman, and let's be honest here, the Belgians gonna revolt in the 1800s. Might as well just be early on that one. We want to go ahead and improve relations with Bohemia for now, I believe. Let me check. Oh, and Upper Bavaria. Okay, and Upper Bavaria. And once in 2 months the diplomats hit, we were also gonna want to do with France for obvious reasons. France is terrifying. France is in fact very terrifying. A couple of new markets on the way. Unfortunately, we cannot make a new market. We are too close for that. I mean, in my test games, I managed to get an alliance with them going with them, and I think that if you can get an alliance going, then it's not too bad. It really depends on how the 100 Years' Wars plays out. Like, in the game I got the furthest with, the 100 Years' War took until 1450, so they couldn't even, like, declare war on us even if they tried. And that gave us all the time we needed to make sure that we weren't a juicy target for France. Like, will they attack us? Probably. But France will be... I think France will be busy unifying its own region first. Like, I think the AI logic is that it will first go for... I need to go ahead and quickly... It's not as they only played Netherlands, but we have, like, local elections coming up on Wednesday, so it felt... it just kind of felt, you know... Like, it felt nice to play as the Netherlands, given the fact that given the fact that that you know, we have elections coming up. So, for those of you who don't know, political scientists, please do not ask me anything about the Middle East. I will make a sound that will make your ears bleed. That's all I will say. But yeah, to answer your question about France, I think they will first go to war with the Holy Roman Emperor in order to get their region unified. I think the AI logic is region unification and then they start looking outward, which in the case of France will mean a hopefully long time to unify the region, because they're gonna have to declare war on just about everyone. Except for us, for once. We are all alone. And yes, people always overlook the Reds, and they're gonna be very important in a few decades. Go. Game is a bit slow because I'm streaming. I'm gonna go and take a look and see if the settings have. Okay, that is all Vulkan. That's custom. That's all off. Good. I will say though, I've been playing a couple of games in Sweden, and that was surprisingly fun in learning how to work with a smaller nation. Also, look at that income. We start off with like 10 ducats a month. Anyway, that's the 100 Years' War. France and England shall be busy. In the meantime, with this money, I will keep the stuff at The Hague, because some events kind of require you to do certain things. And I think the first thing we are gonna go for is the Royal Court. The reason for that is simple, to be honest. Yeah, no, the new patch changed a lot, and for the better. I do think that the game isn't yet in a state where if you want to play outside of Europe, it's really doable. Japan especially is, like, still broken. But I think that if you go for games in Europe, it is surprisingly doable. Anyway, let's go ahead and improve our relation of France, and we also want to go to improve our relations of Brabant. They're gonna be a main rival for the foreseeable future. And once we're done with all of the opinion improving, we are gonna steal maps from Spain. For something that will not happen until the 1500s, or the 1400s, I mean. But yeah, it is... but as for the question of if I think they're gonna be offensive, probably at some point. But they're gonna be busy with their own area first. And I think that we're gonna need to spend the time that we get. Yeah, no one can. That's a very fair way of playing. Like, I can't blame you. If the Netherlands didn't have such specific requirements for their own stuff, I would probably do the same, to be honest. Because the Netherlands obviously famously is a naval nation, same as England. But the problem is, like, we need to get plutocracy up and running, and that is going to be difficult enough as is. For which we then also need to go ahead and get communalism so that we can get rid of a bunch of stuff from the aristocrats. Anyway, Royal Court, mostly for, if I remember correctly, yeah, mostly for the crown power. Like, the plus 10 is huge early on. Also, Adel Insurgents from Jülich. No, thank you. Yeah, that's one of the things that I really liked about trying Sweden. Also, I should mention for the YouTube viewers, I will at one day figure out how to put up the chat for YouTube. I might just do it so that the multi-chat will be showing at some point, but I've not quite been able to figure out how to do that yet. So don't worry if you don't see your text messages on YouTube, but you do see them from Twitch. That's just how it was always designed before I started dual streaming. But that's one of the things I liked about Sweden, is it really helped me learn how to work a nation where the economy starts off slower. See, a spiritualist, or let's go for humanist. There you go, it's organized religion, thank you. So it definitely, I think, like, playing in the Scandinavia is a genuinely great way to sort of learn how to build up your economy. And sort of like what the big points are where your economy suddenly makes a jump. Like, getting your first city up and running is... like, that's a game changer. The moment your first city is up and running, everything just suddenly goes that much smoother. And to be honest, as Sweden, the same goes for when you finally... because Sweden takes until, like, the 1600s to fully deal with... to have the economy to fully colonize Scandinavia. So that is one of those things where it's like, it really helps you teach a lot about certain mechanics. It's what I like to do with a lot of Paradox games. It's what I will be doing with Victoria as well once the new season is out. Is I will start with a nation and specifically try to learn only a single mechanic before then integrating the before integrating my knowledge into a wider game. Which is just, in my opinion, a good way to learn Paradox games, but it is a kind of way of learning that requires time and multiple games. Yeah, let's allow. And we also have a Zealot. That's not good. Oh, never mind, it's too traditional. I mean, innovative is useful, but, like, it's not our current main.
It's sort of like what I did in my first games when the game first came out. Is I streamed my first run as Castile. I really focused on just the basics, and then I spent a few runs learning, and then spent a few runs in Bohemia in order to just kind of take a learning of like, okay, what exactly does a full game look like, and how does technology and ages work? Like, what are the big differences? Oh, absolutely. There is a lot of change, and I know there's more change coming. Although I do know that they're now gonna be focusing on temporarily on Byzantine, because the first DLC is about to come out. But now, ladies and gentlemen, the big question: who are we going to attack? Well, we have a couple of choices. We could declare war on Utrecht, and the reason why is Utrecht is needed for a couple of events that are going to be happening at some point. They are also by far the biggest. If we ignore Brabant here for a moment, they are by far the biggest and the strongest in the Dutch region. But there is an argument to be made to go for Gelders, and the reason why is simple. I don't want Brabant to get more land. Like, for now we're friends, but at some point, if I want to recreate the OG Dutch borders, we are gonna need to declare war on them for Bergen op Zoom, Breda, Den Bosch, Eindhoven, Helmond, probably Weert, Roermond, Maastricht as well, given the way that they often like to play. So there is an argument to be made about going for Gelders first. But so it's an interesting question. Never mind, looking at the amount of people that, oh, Brabant is allied with Gelders. Gelders, okay, well, that makes it relatively easy. That leaves our choices with Utrecht or Friesland-Boppen. So I think we will go for Utrecht. We will probably grab Utrecht, and from there, I genuinely don't know. Just listen. It is... I always feel that our language is utterly horrible. So thank you so much. I genuinely feel that our language is utterly horrible, but maybe that's just because so much romanticism comes about the Romance language. It's like, ooh, French is the language of love. You know, with Italian, you get whoever you want to speak Spanish and people will tilt their heads. And it's like, oh yeah, speak German and you sound like a Nazi. Like, thanks, I guess. You know, speak Dutch and it sounds like like English, but with a hot potato. Like, thanks. Appreciate hearing that, gentlemen. So that might be part of it. Eurosoup. That is, I mean, I always say that English is essentially just a bunch of language. I'm always saying that English is not even a language. It's just a bunch of languages that have been murdered and their skin put on. Like the amount of stuff that, the amount of things that English has taken from other languages due to being invaded is just. Like, is genuinely insane. Like, it is. If you ever wonder why English is such a difficult language to learn as an outsider, it's because it takes rules from just about every single other language on the planet. Speak better. Oh god. I had Spanish friends of mine, and I'm sure Bernkro, if he was here, he could probably say the same thing. That like the moment that they start speaking Spanish, they hear like, "Oh, you must be from Mexico," and it's like, no. No. To be fair, these are the same people that hear English, that hear another language and go, speak American. And I'm like, I wish I could. If American was a language, like, there's not much I could do there. Like, I speak the Queen's English, for BBC English is the kind of English that we grow up with. Over here in the Low Countries, for it is BBC documentaries with Sir David Attenborough that we see during our English classes. You know, like, I wish I could speak American, but unfortunately my accent is BBC English. That's just the way it is. But no, you know, like, and if you're American and you're or from the American hemisphere, you're like, wow, he's sure shit-talking a lot of stuff, shit-talking a lot about Europeans. That's just how we Europeans roll. Like, we Europeans are the most dysfunctional family on the planet, in that we constantly shit-talk each other, but the moment someone else shit-talks us, we all collectively defend each other. That is, I believe, roughly the way that these kinds of things tend to work. Anyway, let's go and declare war on sport of traditional ideas, conciliatory movement. Sure. But yeah, like we Europeans like to do some shit talking. You know, Danish, Swedish, Norwegian. I'm sure as a Norwegian documentary again. Agree with the fact that the Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish people like to have some fun ribbing in the same way that the Dutch and Belgians do, and the Dutch and the Germans, and the Dutch and the English, and the English and the French. Anyway, let's go and declare on Utrecht. We are not really gonna care about parliamentaries. I mean, to be fair, everyone in Europe beefs with everyone. Like, the Polish recently once again asked for money for the Germans due to World War II. Which means there's an election coming up over there at some point. You know, Hungary is currently having beef with everyone. France pretends as if they don't have beef with anyone. And the English are still under this insane belief that the French and Germans care about them. Whereas in reality, as we all know, in football, the real, the two best matches are not England and Germany, but the Netherlands and Germany, and France and Italy. We all know that those are the matches to look out for. But now I'm going full Eurocentrism. That's probably not the best idea. Like, good lord, it is entirely possible that like people have come in from the YouTube site and were like, oh, I'm curious about this guy, and it's like they're like, yep, nope. Never mind, I've heard him talk for 2 minutes about beefing with other Europeans and now I'm out. Which, to be honest, fair. Okay. Exactly, neighborly love. Like, the best way to put it with Americans is like, you know, in the same way that Americans and Canadians like to have fun with each other. But yeah, so the thing here is that Overijssel and Drenthe are fun, and I kind of want it because it's the province I live in. But this is the Holy Roman Empire we are talking about. If you want to know why that is a quantifier, the Holy Roman Empire is next to impossible to invade. We go ahead and quickly do this, because get one or two too many provinces and you have a coalition ready to fight you. Thank you, that's another 25 war score. So, yeah. We could very easily, with our current war score, grab all of Overijssel. Which I kind of want to, because, you know, it's where I live. Well, I mean that they also have two cities. They have Deventer and Zwolle as towns, as two towns, which is useful. We also have an ad break on Twitch at the moment. Not that much is happening. See here, and that ends in 42, so we will have time to get probably peasant connections or monthly diplomats. Let me actually have a look at our income, because that could very well be a rather deciding factor. Location income. I mean, that's due to the wealth is 2.1, wealth of Amersfoort is 4. There is actually a solid argument to be made about going for Overijssel. Like, Deventer itself has a wealth of 6.64. I was not expecting that. That is interesting. Let's go for Norse's power. I mean, the question is, what is the wealth normally? Like, Swolle has 6.65. Deventer has 5.65. Drenthe also exists. It's an interesting conundrum. And I don't know the answer. There is an argument to be made about going for Overijssel, but we might not be able to do that due to the disjointed country modifier. We could grab Utrecht and Overijssel, but that would probably cause a coalition from earlier experimenting. One thing we do need to pick is what our next advancement is going to be, because we do want classic scholasticism, because it's just useful. We are gonna have to move into Protestantism or one of the other Reformed religions. So beyond universal Christianity isn't that useful for us. We could get devotional to Virgin Mary, but like around 1500, we're gonna be moving into... Like, it would be 150 years of a +2 stability, or plus 0.2 stability a month. Which I believe counts for quick mathing, is like 20 to 30 total. We just get more from events. The monthly diplomats is useful. Same with the expanded archives. Because once we hit the Age of the Renaissance, we want to get peasant levies early. We want to, like, beeline peasant levies. So I think with that, how much are we currently spending on food? Not much, but that's mostly because of Amsterdam. There is something to be said about claiming terrain and master masons, but that will happen one way or another. Like, we will just get everything over here anyway. Same with meritocracy. Once that hits, like, we will just get everything. Maybe with the exception of government-sanctioned celebrations, because it's just useful. What is our diplomatic capacity? Hang on, that's a good question. Our diplomatic capacity is 180. That's not a lot. Also, speaking of confusing stuff in EU5, I was for the longest time under the impression that this was your diplomatic capacity, so the diplomats, where instead of this, which has just confused me for the longest time, and with that knowledge, going for expanded archives is actually useful, because the bigger the alliances you have and the more alliances, like, the more expensive they are. Like, an alliance with France is just for us more expensive than an alliance with, say, Münster. Oh, do tell me about the ads. In theory, you should not be getting any ads at the moment, but if you do, please let me know. That means that something is going wrong on Twitch's end. Of course, you can always subscribe for no ads, but I'm not gonna ask that. I'm just saying it's a possibility. You know, every once in a while, Twitch gods need to be appreciated. That's a force down my throat. Oh, good lord. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, first of all. Also, good morning to you. I believe it's like early morning at the moment. You're so Norwegian in Texas. That's an interesting one. Not gonna ask any further, but yeah, good morning to you in that case. Woke up around 3. Good lord, it's only. Oh, then you're on the east side of Texas. Why do I know what every state's time zone is? And that there are, like, Texas has like 3 time zones that are in, depending on where in Texas you are. Like, I'm always amazed. It's like, oh yeah, for my studies I had to remember these important things. I can't remember them. Some random guy tells me they live in Texas and are from Norway. I can, based on what time they say it is, I can tell exactly where they are in the state. How? Like, genuinely how? I am still amazed at my ability to remember the most random things. Anyway, we get North Holland, because that's what we... connotation. That is true. Like I said, in theory we could get Overijssel, but like... Yeah, that is just... Yeah, there's no, like, fuck. We could grab Drenthe. Yeah, we can grab Drenthe. It's not much. Like, it sounds a bit weird to be like, why would you grab Drenthe? Because you can't access it. Because we need it in order to make to create the Netherlands at some point. Like, yeah, we can't really do anything with it for now, but obviously at some point we're gonna declare war on Utrecht again for Overijssel. And apart from Münster, it keeps everyone... At the same time, the big problem, of course, is that Münster might declare war. But that's a bridge that we will cross at that point. For now, the important thing is that we have Utrecht. And Low Franconian, which is the majority group. We have appeased our estates. Created the dam to increase. They're actually, funny you should mention that. Yes, there is a, I mean, not necessarily dam as you might think of it. But as the Netherlands, you gain, or at least as Holland, and as sort of like the Dutch, and not even Holland, as like the Dutch culture group, you gain access to polders at some point. And I need to check when that is. It's not specifically Holland related. It's the Dutch culture group. Sometime in the age of the Renaissance, you gain access to polders. So yeah, there we go. You do gain access over here to polders, which the effects on the location don't sound like much, like some road building times, some local population capacity, local food, local production. But the thing is, you can build multiple polders in a location. So these stack, and that's when polders become powerful. Also, once again, this is sort of what I was talking about earlier. Like, as the Dutch, you gain access to both the German technology groups and the Dutch technology groups. So, just like with Austria, you can double dip, which is fun. And as Holland, you then can also gain access to specific stuff from Holland and the Netherlands. Which is, I don't know, I don't know why, but I've always found that funny in some way. Anyway, we go ahead and start integrating our provinces. Like I said, it sounds a bit weird to have like Drenthe in there right now. There we go, Münster has joined the coalition against Holland. That is as expected. But you might notice that the Holy Roman Emperor is not asking anything of us. Rule number 1, always improve your relations with the Holy Roman Emperor. You never know when it's useful. We currently have... Okay, so we've entered a new age. We currently have 13. We technically have 14 because Zeeland counts as one province. But since it's our subject, we don't have it yet. Now, as for the Age of the Renaissance, so the majority of people go for administrative, and I can see the logic. I normally pick it as well. The first for knowledge and local infrastructure. First of knowledge giving plus 5% max literacy, and local infrastructure giving plus 10% proximity speed. They are powerful. Like, they are very powerful. But here's my argument for diplomacy, which is the monthly diplomats, which in our region is useful. Martial Lord isn't useful. Claim fabrication gives us Casus creation speed. Nobody uses it, but still it's there. Market attraction as a trade country is useful. The trade maritime advantage, once again, we are a maritime nation. Privateers, everyone will unlock that anyway at some point. Experienced diplomats gives us additional diplomatic reputation. Remember, we're playing in the Holy Roman Empire. But one of the interesting ones is pressuring diplomacy. There are next to no technologies that give you a war score cost reduction. And while we are not going to be doing a lot of warring in Europe, if you know anything about the history of my country, the spice must flow. And unfortunately, the spice is currently being held by nations that already exist. So the minus 5% war score cost will become useful way later, but there are next to no technologies that actually lower the war score cost. So under normal circumstances, I would go with administrative. That's fair. And to be fair, military focus is interesting. But given the fact that we're playing in the Holy Roman Empire, and that diplomatic reputation is genuinely useful in a way that is just not explained ever in the game. Because one of the things it also does is, and this is important given, once again, Holy Roman Empire, it speeds up how quickly your antagonism lowers. The lowering of antagonism is sped up by diplomatic reputation, which is very useful in our circumstances. Now, later on, and to be honest, once we hit the Age of Discovery, we're always going to be playing diplomatic. Like, I don't think if you play in Western Europe, you will always go diplomatic in the Age of Discovery because, you know, colonies. America, it exists, and we need to make sure it exists in our name. Good lord, this game truly is shit, EU5 players say. But from the Age of Reformation onward, it becomes a bit more of a crapshoot as to what we might want to grab. It becomes a bit more of a grab bag kind of idea. But yeah, as for us, we're gonna grab peasant levies. And afterwards, so you might normally want to grab something like expected cost of court, because the minus 1% is very useful. You might want to get literacy, which speeds up stuff. But for us, what we want to go for is pressuring diplomacy, which is going to take 13. If we also take peasant levies. It's, I believe, one of the most, like, the longest chains of technology to get. It also gets us the diplomatic reputation that we want. And some improved relations, which, once again, we're in the Low Countries, we're essentially just stuck. To some extent, between all kinds of big powers. So, yeah, useful. Now, as for us, let's go to increase public control on Drenthe. Will take a while. Which is also why we gain expanded archives, because it allows us to get some other stuff. Also, Westphalian. Yes, please. Want to view them as kindred. Because Drenthe, Overijssel, and a big part of Groningen and Gelderland are Westphalian. It's actually a movement in the country, and I'm speaking from as someone that lives in the general region where all of this is happening. I can speak from experience when I say that there's a movement currently ongoing to make sure that Westphalian becomes an accepted regional language. So Frisian is the second language of my country because it's its own separate thing. I know Limburgish is a regional language, and they want to do the same with Westphalian, so that like Westphalian is allowed to be spoken in the provincial parliaments. And legislation that deals with Overijssel has to be in both Dutch and Westphalian. Like I'm saying Westphalian, it's sort of like the regional dialect in the region. There we go, Brabant has offered us an alliance, we will accept that for now. So it's actually interesting to see. In the meantime, our values are slowly moving to communalism. It will take a while. Oh, hang on, we're increasing control, we're not integrating, my bad, whoops. I'm very happy I saw that. I'm very happy I saw that early. That is the wrong thing we're currently integrating. There we go. Anyway, the Renaissance is in Lucca. That is as per usual. But from here is where it gets fun. is banking and professional armies can like spawn in a variety of places, including Dubrovnik, which that would be an interesting place. But like professional armies has a high chance of spawning in Paris, so we kind of wanted to get institution spread early, or like immediately before the Aegis is ticked over. Because that plus 20% really is really useful. Especially once you start adding it up. Like Asia is a great place to sort of catch up for technologies, precisely because they get like plus 50% on institutions just in the first 2 ages. Especially if you play in India. Because I forgot what the Indian religion is called, but the point is the religions in India gain plus 20% from their religion and then plus 30% from being in Asia. It's in Uruna, which is... Ha! Congratulations, Navarro. Also, good luck. That is unexpected. That is... interesting, is the word I'm gonna be using here. The big one is gonna be banking. Like, the figure is, we kind of want to put them... There is... Also, speaking of which, is a fun bug with the printing press, actually. Which I'm not certain. I think it's a visual bug where it seems as if it can only spawn in China, but then in Genova, that's good. But then when it actually spawns, all the European places it could have spawned get the could have also spawned here modifier, giving them a guaranteed ticking of the institution. Which I don't know why that happens. It's a thing that's only existed since 1.1. But it's like, I don't know why, but I just find it funny that is a thing that can accidentally happen. Like, I don't know why I find it funny, I just do. It's like, it's one of those weird things that just happens by accident and it has interesting implications. Because what will often happen is that as a result, the printing press, which is normally meant to spread from west to east, is actually spawned both in the west and the east as a result. Sort of spawns in the west. Causing the world to catch up so much faster than you are meant to, which is important because the printing press gives you promote institutions, which is very important. Okay, let's see here. How's Risha doing? Plus 49. Yeah, we want to spend at a minimum just one cycle lowering our antagonism. But we are halfway towards becoming the Netherlands. That's a good thing. Is there a new one? No. Ooh. It's kind of going into a million. Bohemia? Why are you picking? No, Bohemia! You're not meant to pick us. You're meant to pick yourself. Why are... Oh god, can you... Oh god, can you imagine if we were to become the Holy Roman Emperor? That would... Oh, that no, no. Just no. 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 It's sort of the same with Crusader Kings, where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just casually playing a normal game, and all of a sudden I'm the Holy Roman Emperor, and I'm like, no. Please no. I'm having a fun game. Please don't force me. We could go ahead and grab minting, but for now we just kind of want to wait until at the very least the integration process is complete. One of the reasons we want Utrecht is because Amsterdam is surprisingly a rather good source of control. I don't know why, just like 90 for control. Fine by me, I guess. It genuinely, the thing about the Holy Roman Emperor being the Holy Roman Emperor is it's a curse. It's like it's a poison chalice. Like, yeah, you get all the fun things about the Holy Roman Empire. You also get the task of keeping the Holy Roman Empire together when in an era of centralization. Like, that's just not happening. It is genuinely. Also, speaking of which, Joshua, because I didn't really have time to get into it yesterday when we were talking, the reason that Ishgard has such unique attire for, despite being high in the mountains with snow, is because the Calamity, 5 years before the events of the game begin, turned it from a place, from just hills, rolling hills, into the snowy hellscape. And you will notice that a lot of quests that you are going to do all deal with the fact that Ishgard just hasn't been able yet to switch towards the mindset of Eternal Snow. Like, if you look at the Dragoon armor, and I apologize to anyone here for EU5, this is just me and Joshua were talking about Final Fantasy XIV yesterday. You just gotta have to deal with that. But you might notice with the Dragoon armor as well that there are all these bits that are open, which make no sense in a snowy environment, and that's because it was designed for sun. So you will notice that a lot of quests, especially in one of the first areas that you go to, all revolve around the sudden shift and dealing with the consequences of it. So it's story-wise, it's an interesting way to do that. Anyway, let us go ahead and sure, autonomy support, decentralization is gonna happen anyway. But importantly, because we've talked a lot about plutocracy. It genuinely was, like, I'm not certain how far, if you've already seen one of the new areas. Like, I know you've been to Ishgard, but I don't know how much longer you played afterwards. But if you've already been to one of the two new areas, you can see that both of those areas deal with the fact that only recently, like in the last year or so, they've really been able to start spreading outward again. Also, what did you think of the trailer? I'm kind of curious. Like, I'm kind of curious as to your opinion on the trailer. Let's see here. Floating islands and some small town below. Small town below. So you have been to the Sea of Clouds. Got to watch it. Well, like I said, it's one of the things that the trailers do really well is to give you the leitmotif. And the leitmotif, especially from, I want to say, Stormblood onward, becomes very prominent in a lot of tracks of the expansion. Often enough, you can know what a track is from, which expansion a track is from, by trying to listen to the leitmotif, or trying to search for whatever leitmotif is there. So that's always fun to see. Anyway, we need to go and change this to. So we have trade officers. The one thing we can change immediately is, I believe, yeah, there we go, aristocratic court. So that was the first one we need to change. Ask for law changes. There's also feudal, but we don't really want that yet. Oh yeah, right, we also want to get, now I remember, we also want to favor the elite. No, not the elite. We also want to change favor the wealthy at some point. But if we go from aristocratic court, and here's the interesting one, like we can go for innovativeness, like it would not change anything about the cost of court. We could also go for balanced. Like, Interrent Court is an interesting one. The proximity through land is useful, but then again, like, no. So yeah, also get used to the floating islands. They're gonna be the bane of your existence once you get flying. Like, oh dear. Let's get Court of Culture. And then for the next round, we want to, unless all of a sudden we just like, unless for some unknown reason we just get like a +20 on the parliament in session, then we want to move the mining laws around. So there we go. Now we have aristocracy at 0.11. Court of Culture is gonna start implementing roughly nowish. But yeah, enjoy your time there. It's actually a bit weird for me to be playing to Heavensward again, because it is when some, like, for reasons that I won't go into detail of. But it is definitely weird to be back there and go through the main story. Education of the Masters. Oh, you're right, we now have access to that as well. But we also have access to the Vowed, which... Yeah, if only... Surprisingly useful if you just want to go for pure literacy. But traditionalist and spiritual is the exact opposite of what we want. I'm sure there are countries that benefit a lot from that, but as the Netherlands, no. No. Okay, so it was a good sign to not... okay. The idea is that then we go to war again, then we grab Overijssel in the next round. Then we once again wait, we move over our mining rights to favor the elites, because we don't mine at all, so it doesn't really matter one way or another. And then we want to essentially every 10 years we want to switch a law to move us closer to plutocracy. That's sort of like the main goal. And then once we are the Netherlands, we can just use every law. We can use every parliament to change that. Like, if you think of the parliament as less of... The best way to put it for me, I've been putting this for myself, is think of the parliament as less of a way to get specific bonuses and more as a way to create permanent change. That's the best way I've always been thinking about it, is think of it as less of a way to affect... Like, think of it as less of a way to grab these small little bonuses and more as a cheap way to make permanent changes. We're almost done with integrating Utrecht. That is good. That will also up our maximum control to like plus 50%, I believe. Mempo will be more difficult, but you might notice that the Roman Emperor has not given any complaints. That's good. Also, we want to get defensive as well. Also, once we become the Netherlands, then the Landtag, which is the German thing, will move into the Staten-Generaal. Speaking of which, is there anything happening? I mean, it is a Friday, so odds are nothing is happening in Parliament, but you never know. Might as well take a quick look-see while we are not doing much. Oh, look, it's a bot on Twitch. Hello, bot. Goodbye, bot. Thank you for your kind service, bot. Let's see here. Wat hebben we hier? COA bereikt de dwangsom van 5 miljoen. Binnenland. Oh, wait, hang on. Oh, yeah, no, that is actually relatively important. Whoops. Well, it seems that politics is on weekend. Which can't blame them, to be honest. Okay, so that's almost done. This will take until... based on the level the game wants me to be. That is going to be 51. So the way that the dungeons work from now on, and just in general in every expansion, is you gain new dungeons at the 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th and 9th level. So 51, 53, 55, 57, 59, 60, 61, 63, 65, 67, 69, 70, etc. And you can still use the skills outside of the dungeon. Like you can still use this. You can still use the skills. The problem is beyond your job level. I want to say 56. It's gonna be next to impossible to complete at the moment because you just don't have the firepower for it yet. Like I can in theory do the 58 Dragoon quest, but I just know that I'm just not capable of doing that with my current gear. So the next, I should mention 51 is technically an optional dungeon. But you need to do it in order to get an ether current, and all of that will be explained as you go through the main story. You cannot access the next dungeon until a bit into the main story, like right before you move out of the first area. So just before you hit the level 52 quests, will you gain access to your first dungeon. Also, yeah, the Black Death, it has begun. So you can still use the skills, and it's always a good thing to just have them so you can practice them. Like some classes change. Black Mage is infamous for changing every 10 levels. So being able to just practice. I mean, you're not nobody. You can't do the 51 dungeon yet if you've only just entered the 2 new areas. But give me one moment. I will put it in YouTube chat. Give me 1 moment. So the dungeon you are looking for. That way you just have like a thing. As for the job quest, what you can do is just go back to... As for the job quest, just go back to where you got your level 50 quest from. Like, they will always be... Like, that job trainer that you got at level 30 will always give you the next job quest. Irrespective of if it's from the base game, Heavensward or Stormblood. They will always give you... There are some trainers that move around, but in that case, the rule of thumb is wherever you got your last job quest, or wherever you delivered your last job quest, is where you will find the next one. And in the case of Heavensward, they all start wherever you got your level 50 job quest from. So... And I should mention, sounding out the amphitheater is an important main story quest because it's essentially the start of sort of like the bigger overarching story that goes on in Heavensward. For now, just enjoy the new areas. They're very snowy. There's lots of snow in them. Okay, Amersfoort is now that. Utrecht is done on July 1st, so about a year from now. The Black Death has officially arrived in... That is gonna go quick, I feel. Speaking of which, now that we are essentially just kind of waiting for a bit, the Byzantine Empire is doing well. The very small Ottomans, actually. Golden Horde is doing Golden Horde things. France is now also done, thank you. We almost are done with late feudal relations. Not really that useful to us, but it unlocks medieval military and medieval sailing. There we go, that is Utrecht done. Which means we now have 61 maximum control. And we can return to, in your case, I mean, it is useful. Getting the monthly... Surprisingly, strengthening government, despite it being at 100, is useful because it lowers the cost of court that you need. Thank you very much for Brabant. So it is surprisingly useful to keep one person on legitimacy duty because it lowers the cost of court. It's one of those things that the game doesn't tell you about. Okay, Utrecht can also... Fine by me. Utrecht does what Utrecht does. How is Zeeland doing currently? 7.45. Yeah, we only want to put Zeeland up once we can form the Netherlands. Okay, it has arrived. I believe the rule of thumb is to get Expel the Sick, because it gives us plus 0.5 towards communalism. We also want to move the court into hiding and isolate the country. Control the food market. Yeah. The point here is that it gives us, like, look at the communalism values that we are getting. The Black Death is like a great and historically accurate moment to move into communalism. Just expel the sick alone, like, gives us the movement towards it. Which means that we can actually get rid of strengthen the government. And actually, this is a good moment to move our societal values towards communalism. Because we now have 0.86. Like, it costs us a bit more money for a bit. But in return... I need to also move you back to Twitch. There we go. I have, like, only 2 screens, so I need to every once in a while move from YouTube to Twitch and vice versa. But yeah, that will give us a revoke privilege cost of around, I want to say 40%, assuming that it all goes well. There we go, revoke privilege cost is now starting to go up. As well as the estate satisfaction equilibrium, which is good because it allows us to get some laws going that would otherwise be difficult. Unity of Fate. Coalition has been disbanded. The other reason that we want this is because, yeah, we are gonna be losing quite a few people along the ways. That's the Black Death for you. But we can't just kind of keep communalism up and running. Like, the only reason that you would want to end is, like, only once the Black Death is done from the entire world. If you go early, then the stability of Holland lowers with +10 or -10 every single time you change one of these. But if you just keep them on, like, it just allows us to start moving communalism up fast. Speaking of which, how long until... Okay, so 16 months places punishment. Boergain. Okay. Is there Holy Roman? There is still no Holy Roman Emperor. Wow. It seems as if Bohemia is starting to become... Okay, so it seems as if Bohemia is gonna be the next emperor, so it's good that we... And now we're essentially waiting for the Papal Bull, or for the Golden Bull to be sealed. The other reason that we didn't really do anything with our money for the first 3 years is because, like, yeah, we've we are dealing with scarcity problems everywhere, so it's not really worth the effort to build up buildings at first. From now on, though, it is. And the important thing is that once... An engineer available. Is that once there is... once the Golden Bull has been sealed, we can actually ask to be upgraded from a county to a duchy. It's once again one of those things that's, like, surprisingly useful. Still, the revoke privilege cost of, there we go, medieval military. There is something to be said about waiting for a bit longer in that case. At the same time, Münster is now at 26, Frisia is at 22. Yeah, we could just make a play for Utrecht again. And then we just have Overijssel as well. That gives us a +4, which is technically a +5 based on what we have, which is 26. No. Which is plus 5 is 18. Gives us only 10. Frisia, Ommelanden and East Friesland will give us the 10 that we need. We can also go for Gelders if we can break their alliance with Brabant. Yeah, this should be doable. Bit of luck before the year 1400. In the meantime, also communalism just, I believe, like gets a couple of like just good events, especially early on. I'm not sure. I don't quite have it memorized yet, which events happen due to which things. There is nowadays a website that shows you that, but yeah. Anyway, it seems that Leiden is almost done. How is Amsterdam? Almost as well. Creating Drenthe. So we might want to declare war on Overijssel, on Utrecht, technically. Overijssel, and then... let me go ahead and see here. Oh, Frisia as well. Heinsbroek, Osnabrück, Jever. Dear lord, what the hell is going on here? They have an alliance with a lot of people. Frisia, which has... Oh yeah, right, because we've just finished the Black Death event. So the fact that we have like almost 2800 is surprisingly useful. So if there's gonna be a moment, like, in theory, if we declare war on Overijssel, then we can, but that's a big maybe, grab East Friesland or Friesland itself. But that's a big maybe. You don't want to get greedy. Let me see here. Utrecht and the biggest Friesland, Osnabrück, which is over here. Jever. Heinsberg. Where's Heinsberg? Oh, it's over there, down near Northwest Rijnvallen. Osnabrück. The Valkenburg? Ah, Valkenburg. Hello, Valkenburg. Hello. Yeah, we can. Yes, they do say slightly. Oh, is Brabant being taken into the calculations? No. Okay, that's good. Then, yeah, if there's ever gonna be a time for us to declare war, it's gonna be now. Demand for a new monastery. Sure. Then we do fabricate casus belli on Overijssel. And if you can get Friesland, I mean, Friesland is gonna be difficult. We can't get, Groningen gaat hem niet worden. Ik praat even in het Nederlands. Groningen gaat hem niet worden, want dat is slechts 3 en ook opnieuw. Friesland kan hem worden. We hebben Friesland als, ja nee, dat moet te doen zijn. Moet te doen zijn. Alright. That makes sense. First things first. We also want to get Harderwijk at some point, if only to get a land border going, because the Afsluitdijk is not gonna be made yet for the next, make that 600 years. I mean, it would be fun if we could make it. It would also be utterly impossible. Like, it's not even a thing in Victoria, and technically the beginning of the Afsluitdijk falls barely within Victoria's time frame. So, if you can't even do it there, then yeah, no way you can do it in EU5. Simply, the technology simply does not exist. Like, we're talking about levels of concrete and sea building. That, to be honest, as the Netherlands, we've we are just about the only nation on the planet that have like just are even capable of really doing it. It's not a dig at anyone. Like, it's just that what I've noticed is that we as the Netherlands are really good at water building, and that a lot of countries just don't really use the abilities that we do have. Which is a genuine shame. Like, I think there's a lot that you could do with that. Okay, so once again, it's like it's that barely thing. So we want to get Overijssel. That's all that we want to get. Let's also get some stuff over here. So that is now 18. Like, I mean, there's an obvious reason that we're good with water engineering, which is just like... The reason we're good at water engineering is simply because look at the coastline here. Like, we've been fighting the ocean for essentially our entire existence. So engineering for a while. Oh, that's cool. So it's like, even something as simple as like the Afsluitdijk, which connects North Holland over here with Friesland. So this bit of sea, it's still one of the longest dikes just on the planet. And I remember that at the time being that I actually wanted to make it bigger, so that there could be a train or that could be rails going across it. But the really interesting thing in that case, from a water engineering perspective, is that it actually turned out to be the precursor to something much more massive. If I'm allowed to go ahead and be very Dutch here for a moment. Since you are water engineering, this might actually be really interesting to you. So as you can see here, so this... Oh, come on, Google. Thank you. So as you can see here, this is the Afsluitdijk. This is what I was talking about before. But it actually turned this entire thing into a lake. So what they did is they created sluices within the dike itself, so that, you know, fish can still move between the Waddenzee and the North Sea and the IJsselmeer. But over the time, it slowly turned the lake, or the former sea, into a lake. And then what we did, and this is partially by accident, sort of like by the time that the Afsluitdijk was done, we didn't really have the plans for it yet. We created an entire province. Like, all of this right here, this entire section that you can see with Lelystad, Zwifterband, and Meloord, all of that is reclaimed land. Like, all of this was once, and if you go over here to EU5, you can see it. Like, that's roughly here. Like, there is no such thing. Oh, hang on. The way that my computer works, I hate it at times. There you go. And in that case, if you're interested in water engineering, I recommend looking up the Deltawerken. I'll just write it down so you can look it up if you want to. Which was a post-1950s, which was sort of like a post-World War II massive public infrastructure idea that has been fully realized. Took about like 50 years, give or take, that would essentially move the coastline of the Netherlands from all of Zeeland over here, from the borders with Zeeland, to from one end of the borders with Zeeland to the other end, thereby lowering the coastline of the Netherlands by about 500 to 600 kilometers. And it is, I believe, one of the 7 modern wonders of engineering. So if you're curious about water management and how we sort of like have protected the inland areas of the country, the Deltawerken is a really interesting thing to look at, because it shows the sheer human engineering involved in Okay, and I think we are back. Just testing. Okay, I think we are back. Apologies that the encoder just broke the moment that I started doing that, which is a sign I probably need to move the encoder up and get myself a new GPU at some point. Need to be careful with that when dual streaming. So if I'm correct, then I should be back. If you can't see me, please reset your stuff. Okay, there we go. I believe we are back. I was planning on going for another hour, and I am absolutely going to keep to that. We are back. Okay, that's a good sign. Like I said, for some reason, the encoder completely broke the moment that I tried to show you guys that stuff. Like Twitch the OBS does not want me to show you this one neat trick to stop flooding from happening in your country. Yay, we are back indeed. We also almost have peasant levies. But yeah, as I was saying, like if you are curious about water management, the Deltawerke is genuinely a fascinating feat of engineering. I used to live right nearby it, and it is. Also, if you want to know how, thank you, Stream Elements. If you want to know how quick the war was, we were finished with the war before the legislature was done with it. But in return, we now have my home province of Overijssel, which quite literally means across the IJssel. I'll leave you to decide across which river Overijssel is based. So yeah, almost done with peasant levies. I was actually 2% of Wilbur is peasant levies. Veldt to be is peasant and labor as well. We have a lot of peasants, so that helps. In the meantime. Okay, Dordrecht is fully functional, so that's good. We can get stud farming going. In that case, over there. Peasant levies is done. Encouraging communalism. Is it useful to continue on with that? Or, okay, Westphalian is, yep. Yeah, sure. I'm not in the mood to fight. So yeah, now we're just gonna spend some time just doing law changes. In the meantime, communalism is almost at 0.36. In theory, how much would it cost us? What it cost us 104. Where is the base cost coming from? Okay, estate power of the nobility. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, technically true. Overijssel, the IJssel is an offshoot from the Rhine, so you're not technically wrong there. Technically correct. The best kind of correct. So yeah, we're gonna need to lower the estate power, Adel. But we shall do that over the course of some stuff. In the meantime, trade capacity is useful to grab. Like I said, maximum is doable. Let me see here. Innovative and capital economy. Production efficiency is land of commons is actually something that we are gonna grab. For the production efficiency. And also we are trying to move away from traditional economy to capital, because it gives us bank interest, production efficiency, modifiers. In other words, exactly what we want. Also, we now have access to individual apprenticeships as well, due to the fact that we have that particular modifier. It's not that useful yet. Humanism is something we do want to start gunning towards, but one thing at a time. And individual apprenticeships is definitely interesting. Mostly for the trade advantage. Which, given the fact that we are not in control of the trade node. Exceptional year. Let's invest in our future. Like, we need to go through 3 technologies that are relatively pointless for us. In that, I mean, it's not true. Blockade efficiency is useful, but not yet. Prosperity and recovery. Change policy cost is on the one hand, yes. On the other hand, like, when are you ever not changing your policy through parliament? And then we get to the three that we want. We want to get diplomatic reputation, improve relations, and war score cost. Speaking of which, have we finally? We still have not. How are we still in a deadlock? I'm genuinely amazed that we are still in a deadlock here, and you know. Well, thank you for the Navy morale. But yeah, if you want to know, like, we're currently at 13% for the stability stuff. Only now are we getting to a point where we can actually start affording this stuff, and even then only under like relatively unique circumstances. And there's a lot that we don't need to get rid of, like royal marriage rights. You know, we can keep that. Fortification licenses, I don't care about that. It really is land rights, and also auxilium et consolium. Those are sort of like the big ones, and also the right to inherit. Like, those are the big ones that we need to get rid of if we want to start moving in towards plutocracy. So we're gonna go ahead and continue on with this until we reach 36, which is not that long anymore. And, you know, like, the estate satisfaction equilibrium is nice as well. It gives us gives us some wiggle room for law changes that will start happening in this particular age once we move over to professional armies. More specifically, once we move over to the recruitment laws and the rights of nobility later on in the Renaissance, because most of us will not give the adel more than absolutely necessary. Yeah, no, we actually do need to temporarily move over to integrated province, because comp is gonna be our main way to get the stuff from Drenthe. The other, I guess, plus of the Holy Roman Empire being in a power struggle, which still fascinates me, is that no one can really stop us from getting stuff. Like, there is no... Normally, if you have unlawful territory, that is a -1 on your control for 20 years, which, if you are not actively gaining control early game, is absolutely devastating. Okay, this is the point where we need to start minting. Cute. But since there is no authority in during the, what is this, the second interregnum, if we start counting from the inception of the Holy Roman Empire? Let me see. Are you still you're still okay? You're still allied with Brabant. So then we want to move our stuff up north. Like, we want to declare war on Frisia at some point, and probably Zutphen as well. Like, I want to create the OG Dutch borders, if I can help it. In the meantime, Den Haag is now finally recovered as well. Gives us access to lumber mill. Because we want to get 30,000 people to create city status at some point in both Amsterdam and Den Haag. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the basics, including the fiber crops farms. We also want to get a university going at some point. Same with the library. I mean, library is useful to grow. But the problem is it requires books, which you don't have I mean, we partially, I guess, have access to. Like, we can get ourselves a scriptorium going. So at the very least get the books flowing, and then from there we can get ourselves a library. All of this is part of... No, okay, so they have moved North and South Holland. Smart, otherwise it would be... It's a smart thing that developers have moved North and South Holland apart from each other, because otherwise it would be just utterly monstrous. Let's go and fill our covers. Let's get a scriptorium going over here. Also gives us some additional... I mean, gives some additional money to the Geestelijke. Which doesn't directly go into our coffers, but allows the Geestelijke to build other things. And we need to get books somehow. Okay, so moving to recovery efforts and legal scrutiny. That's just same as blockade effort, like it's useful, but not yet. Also interesting, and I'm not certain if this is because the Hook and Cold Wars are just kind of broken at the moment, but for some reason they just don't activate at the moment for Holland. I'm not sure why. Like, it could be that Paradox temporarily got rid of the Hook and Cold Wars because it's not... It's kind of broken at the moment, or it's like very confusing in how to even... what to even do. Which is, in that case, a fair assessment. I will probably... hang on, there's something I can do for the encoding settings. We can move this to low. Gonna need to wait here for a moment. That could help with the encoding. That case, I just need to remember to switch between things. I guess I need to remember that whenever I'm streaming this game that I need to switch to low. Or I need to win the lottery and get myself a new GPU. That's also a possibility. Because let's face it, with the prices currently of GPUs in everywhere. You know, like So this is the one problem with my plan. It requires England not to do this. Yeah, but that's currently raised infantry potential levies. This is like the one problem with my plan. Yeah, this could be game ending, but we are just gonna go ahead and try. We're gonna do the age-old tactic of bonking. So I think what I did wrong here is that you can see the improved opinion is currently only 23. I should have just improved opinion with them as well. I'm kind of hoping that France uses this moment to declare war on Britain. Like, I'm kind of hoping that they are gonna be using this in order to declare war for the... I don't know how many phase of the 100 Years' War. Because England will have a lot of troops, but at the same time, it is an interesting conundrum. Here's actually something interesting. See, the market is in Brugge. And so here's and this is obviously just a pipe dream here, but allow me to dream here for a moment. So Flanders is normally under French rule, but has switched over to England due to the 100 Years' War. We could try to do a funny. Imagine for a moment what happens if we can take control of Brugge. Currently Brugge is the market center of the Low Countries. Majority of the Low Countries. Like, there are some stuff in Cologne. But if we take control of Brugge, it still counts. Here's the thing, right? In order to become the Netherlands, you just need 28 in the Low Countries, and Flanders is fully in the Low Countries. Now, the odds of this happening is literally zero. Let me preface this by saying the odds of doing this is zero. But what I am saying is, it would be part of me really wants to see if we can do this. Exactly, good sir, for we march at dawn. Perfidious Albion strikes again. And the English wonder why no one trusts them. Ooh, we could actually win this. All right, because all right. Oh, this. Oh, I just realized something. Okay, so something you need to understand why I'm laughing. Here's what you need to know about this game. The AI sucks at naval invasions. I've just realized this. The AI is horrible at naval invasions. They have 41. That is true. They have 26k. But those 26k need to get past the ocean. Oh, it would be funny if we could do that. I am like... Part of me is really hoping that the UK is genuinely dumb enough to try this. Because if it is, it would be genuinely really funny. And the reason why I'm... Yep, they are... Yes! Yes, they are! Oh, England! Oh, thank you, England! Oh, thank you, thank you. Oh, I love this. See the problem here? They've got... We'll arrive in Alkmaar. See, they've got 2k. Because apparently with 38 ships, that is all they can do. We are still not going to win this war. But we are gonna give it our very best. Now the one problem, of course, is that there are a bunch of professionals in here. But the important thing is that we managed to lower them, because these are their professionals. Like, this is the important thing. These are their professionals. These are their professionals. These are their 500 professional armies. So that is the best they have at the moment. Like I said, odds are we're going to lose this, and the stream ends, and it just sucks. But a part of me is hoping that France uses this moment to attack them. Also, I do have to say, and this is me maybe griping because I'm playing as the Netherlands, and I'm like, god damn it, the game is going so well. It feels weird, and this is just a gripe I have, where it feels like the rules for England and France feel different. Where France cannot really declare war on other nations due to the 100 Years' War, but England can. Like, it feels as if there's like a... it feels as if the AI for England and France are just like different in a way that feels a bit off, but that's partially a personal gripe. But it does seem as if we are at the end here, because there's no way that we're going to win this. Yeah, there is no way that we're going to win this. That much is clear. I did still have a laugh about it. It was still fun to see. But I think we can all agree there's no way for us to win this. There is just what kind of tribute can we give? Humiliate. Oh wait, hang on. No, run is not over. Run is not over. Scrap that. Run is not over. Take a look at this. Country treaties is humiliate Holland. Fair. We need to pay them a bunch of money. We can deal with that. And pay more reparations and annul all treaties with Brabant. No, hang on. Scrap that. Time out. We're not done yet. They do not ask us to give South Holland. We are still in. We can still do this. We can still do this. We have not given any land whatsoever. Gentlemen, we're still in. Gentlemen. We can still do our things. We do need to improve opinion, which sucks. That's my mistake. We're starting to do that now. And in 10 years, we can once again declare our stuff with Brabant, and we can just go to keep the trust up so that they don't want to attack us. Okay, there's an ad going. We're gonna wait for that. We are still in it, ladies and gentlemen. We still have it. Gentlemen, welcome back. We are still in. We are in the so backstage. We are so backstage. Like, it's no longer over. We are so back because all we needed to do was give a bunch of money and delete our alliance with Brabant. But Brabant won't attack us because we have high opinion of each other. In 10 years, we can redo the alliance with Brabant and we're back to where we started. We are so back. We are so back. I'm full on copium right now and I do not care. Like, we are on full copium and I'm gonna be huffing it. Okay, so up next, I want to go to once again do more changes. Don't want to do martial religious teachings, is useful for us now. It's the mining law we want to change towards burgher controlled. For plutocracy and capital economy. Okay, so you are in this alone. With 24, okay. Okay. I have an idea on how we can do this. We can just wait this out. Just go to Orn. They will, yep, they will grab Zwolle, they will grab Meppel. And then they're gonna need to kick their teeth in for Amsterdam and Den Haag. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna let them wait. Let them kick their teeth in. There we go. That's exactly what I was expecting. Oh no, it has fallen. How horrible. You can see how they're having issues here. Like, they're not sure where it... Ha 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 ha. Defensive. It is useful. Yeah, mining law operations are currently being activated, meaning that we are from now on moving towards plutocracy. You can see here that they are just losing morale. Like, sure, they have more morale than us, but the counterpart also is they have just less people. Prosperity recovery, thank you. I know, right? There we go. We've done what we needed to do, which is they can no longer do anything, to be honest. Sorry. Also, where are you going? You're going to over there. Okay. There's nothing they can do anymore over here. Even if they do get Middelburg, like, who cares? I mean, I care, but the important thing here is that, okay, 7%. I know that this is gonna be... But the important thing here is that they lose enough. We are live, yes. We have been live for a few hours now. But the game crashed, or at some point OBS crashed. Oh, cool. Okay, let's see, what do you want? Okay, you want... of course you fucking want. It's fucking Munster. Like, in every single... It doesn't matter which game it is. Is it like a historical thing? Are people from Munster just assholes? Like, is that it? Like, whenever I go like, oh, I wonder what they want. Oh, they want literally everything. There we go. It's like, I wonder what Munster wants. Oh, they want literally everything. Makes sense, I guess. Because it's Munster. Munster is just a bunch of assholes. Like, I feel like if you live from Munster in the 14th century, you cannot exist without just wanting to fuck over the Dutch. Like, it happened in EU4, it happened in EU5, it happened in Crusader Kings. For reasons unknown to everyone, that's just the way it is. Like, I don't know what causes it. Maybe it's just genetic, to be honest. Like, maybe it's just a genetic thing. Maybe there is something about being in that era that makes them want to fuck over Dutch people. I don't know what it is. They are, because the thing is they're like, oh yeah, what do you want for tribute? Everything. We want everything. We want you to humiliate, we want you to release. We want fucking everything. Why? Because we're Munster. Because Munster hates us. Because Munster is just an asshole. Because Munster cannot exist without ruining the fun of every other country around it. You know, because why? Because it's Munster, and if Munster couldn't ruin the fun of other people, then it would have no reason to exist. And I do think this really might be fucking it, because Munster is just... fuck. It is. It genuinely is more difficult than Norway, and it's only because of Munster. And I genuinely mean this. Nothing against people from Munster. If you are from Munster, I'm sure you're lovely people. I've never been there. I'm sure you're lovely. I'm sure the county is lovely. But in EU4, EU5, and Crusader Kings 2 and 3, Munster genuinely is like it's essentially just a fucking gremlin. Like in these games, they're always a gremlin. And the worst part is Munster starts out as a theocracy, which just somehow makes it worse. It's like, I guess as Munster, you are allowed to just ask for all of this. And just get told to get fucked. This isn't the figure as well. This isn't even a coalition war. This is just Munster being Munster. Like here, they're a bishopric. And this is a genuine question. And maybe this is just how is and this is like I'm just rationalizing. Like I'm not really angry. I'm just rationalizing. How is a bishopric allowed to just get all of that? Just get all of it. Like, this is it. England attacking us sucked, but Munster over here is just essentially game over for all intents and purposes. It's not technically game over, but for all intents and purposes it is. Because if we have to give up all of this, then we are 20 years into the game with nothing. In that case, it really truly is game over. Like, in that case, it truly is game over. I'm still gonna try. But I don't really see a way out of this. Oh. And I'm more angry at Munster because of the fact that it feels personal with every single Dutch nation. Like, this almost feels specifically targeted towards Dutch players, because there's never been a game in EU4, in EU5, Crusader Kings 2, Crusader Kings 3, where this doesn't happen at some point. So this really is the it. We're still gonna retry, but fuck. I'm okay, I'm genuinely annoyed at this. Partially because of my own fault. I should have just realized this earlier. But like, I guess I'm just really annoyed at Munster existing. We can still try. Like, we now know what we need to do. We know what we did wrong. We can try again. Like, not for too long, but we can, you know, at the very least make a start with it. But it's like, fuck. We survive England, only to be cocked over by a bishopric with a god complex. You know what? Fuck it. Now it's personal. We're gonna add something to this run. Once we are the Netherlands, this is our Carthage moment. This is our Carthage moment. We're gonna add something to our run this time. We will salt Munster. We will make sure. That's fair. We are Rome and they are Carthage. We will come back stronger. I will not rest until every single province in Munster, every single city, is burned to the ground. Because Dutch people are very kind people. Like, if you know about it, you know, like, we're chill people. But we're also really good at holding historical grudges. We are very good at holding historical grudges. Gentlemen, the Netherlands has two missions in life. To bring all the spice and to salt the earth of Munster. See here, the lands of our enemy. Look at its vile farmland and its weird language. Look at them. Lack of rivers. Lack of sea access. How Meppen is spelled with an N instead of an L. We shall break them. Oh, good lord. We shall break them. Yea, we shall do as our forefathers have done, and we shall eat them. For look upon the unholy lands and know that one day it shall speak Dutch, it shall have gay marriage rights, and it shall be able to smoke weed. It shall eat cheese and chocolate sprinkles, preferably together. It shall have good food like bossenbollen and stroopwafels. And more importantly, it shall not be called Munster, but Dutch Colony 1. But all of that's in the far future. But now we need to go ahead and reset our run. We now know what we need to do. First up, building rights. And we might also give land of commerce. Let's give them trade monopolies maybe. Boeren obviously get access to a classical core on the classical communalism. Hi Alison, how are you doing? Real game at last. Yeah, I've been playing this for a few hours now, but the game at some point OBS crashed. Let us grab common militias. For our true enemy lies to the east, ye gentlemen. Let us get... Yeah, I don't know what happened, it just did. Look here upon ye unholy fate, and notice we can call it a rival. But it's not a rival, gentlemen. It's a stepping stone to greatness. I don't know why I'm moving into a Scottish accent. But it will be legendary. Our rivalry shall be legendary and short. Aye. It shall. But first things first, let's go and get our basic start up and running. As per usual, we're not going to be building anything except for the court until we reach the Black Death. But aye, this time around, we shall not make the same mistake twice. England, improve opinion. France, improve opinion. Brabant, improve opinion. Let's this time around start as we should have done so long ago. By making sure that we are not being declared war upon by England. Let's start with step 1. We also want to get up Bavaria as well. Look at these smuck Munster faces. You could just hear them laughing behind our backs. Dutch can swim. That is fair. To be fair, the biggest problem with England was the fact that, to be honest, if I'm allowed to, if we're leaving the joking behind, I think what cooked us over in the end was the fact that our alliance with Brabant had to be lost. If that wasn't the case, then Münster would not have even tried. So I think that that's what in the end cooked us over the most. Also, Silent, as for what I sent you earlier, Brennan Lee Mulligan is known for his monologues. I'll show you a few more at some point if I can find the time for it. Let's get real quote. He's the kind of person that will casually quote Shakespeare in that will just casually quote Shakespeare in a long speech of his about. Well, one of his best speeches was when Game Changer had a game where the second place won. Like, you could just hear the sheer loathing in his voice as he realized what the game was going to be about. Because he's known to be hyper competitive. So having to do second best I to be honest, I think it partially broke him. But yeah, once again, get communalism up and running early, get us moving towards plutocracy as soon as possible. And this time, I can smell revenge. First though, we need to get rid of Upper Bavaria, because we want to make sure that, you know, nobody's gonna be too annoyed at us. Like, in theory, what we could also do is be friends with Münster, but why would we? That sounds an awful lot like heresy. God, when I get fake angry, I suddenly move into voices that I wasn't even aware of I had. It's genuinely amazing. But yeah, first step is just getting Utrecht again. Like I said, we kind of need that. Probably Overijssel as well, maybe Drenthe again. We can go for the classic Utrecht, Drenthe, and then Overijssel later. Like, the most important thing is just that we gain an alliance with Brabant, to be honest. At that point, we can just kind of grab Northern Netherlands. Sovereign alliance. We are above our relation capacity, but tribe swing. Oh, absolutely. We actually have on Twitch an even Dark Tribe emote, I believe. Let me see. No, we. I mean, technically we have. I really need to. You know what? I should probably ask Chizomi to make an evil tribe emote, like as in like Dark Chip tribe. I think that would be genuinely. I think that would be really fun, but I'm scared of. I'm really scared of talking to artists on Discord. We also need to get ourselves a pet emote going. So I am. Yeah, no, I should probably ask what Chizomi for that. Is pet peddler? Yes, it is. I mean, it is over here on multi chat. I mean, it works on multi chat, but it doesn't work. Why? Because I am really scared of talking to people in general. Like, it might not sound like it on Twitch, but like I am. Like Silent can just talk about this. Like it took ages for me to finally start talking to Silent. And that goes for just about every person on the planet. Like, I am genuinely easily scared with talking to people, especially when it's like an artist, because it's like social anxiety is a good way to put that. It's like, how do I talk to her? Like, hey Chizomi, can you make emotes for me? Like, is it that simple to just go to someone and be like, hey, could you make emotes for me, even though I don't know anything about your... Yeah, I'm working on that. I'm working on getting combined chat going, Silent, but I've not quite figured out a way that isn't essentially just copying multi-chat. Like, I'm working on it. Playing Sky and inspiring, but yeah, that is something that took me a long time with Final Fantasy XIV to even like begin talking to other players. for some sort of bot to integrate. I mean, if you can ask your friend and then can tell me, that would be genuinely great, because I really want to integrate the chat. I know that Crow has integrated chat, but like this is only the second stream, so hopefully by the next stream that will all be over and done with, and everything is fine. Still friendly. Yeah, that is with Final Fantasy 14. It took me a long time to get over. There's actually an affliction in Final Fantasy 14 called tankxiety, which is a situation where people are afraid to tank because they are afraid of being the person in charge. Which sounds really dumb, but it, especially before Shadowbringers, before the changes that Shadowbringers brought, tanking was genuinely one of the most difficult things in the game. Like, no joke difficult. Oh, afraid of disappointing. That's the other thing as well, is like, yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's a bit of column A and a bit of column B from what I've seen. Oh god, I still don't heal, to be honest. Like, I am so... But the problem with healing for me is you need to keep track of so many things. And like, 90% of the time I'm hyper-focused. I think the other reason as well is that it's the kind of thing where you're very easily in the spotlight. So, if you make a mistake, then it's immediately noticeable for everyone. Like, that's the other thing. If you, if as a Dragoon I don't do my job, it just means that, you know, that the fight takes a bit longer. But if as a tank I don't do my job, then everyone dies. not part of this, that's fair. And it's the same with healing. Like, if you fail as a healer, it's immediately noticeable to the party. Whereas if you fail as a DPS, which I do at times, you know, like, I don't always take my DPS duty seriously, then got the comments, oh, that's cool. That's always great. Like, the community can be genuinely really great. You can't just tell. Yeah, I know. In my defense as a Dragoon, have you seen the amount of buttons that we have to press at any given second? Like, unlike ninjas, we don't get any level of bursting, of burst window where we then just... That's... Oh, yeah, so you do. Yeah, like, the thing is stuff like ninjas get, and machinists as well, they get some downtime. And we just are constantly always on high alert. So it is genuinely, mentally, playing Dragoon, especially on higher level content, is genuinely very draining. Precisely for that reason. It's precisely because it requires, you're mentally always, like, you're always like about 2 minutes ahead of everyone else's rotation. Yeah, I know the feeling. Oh, it is such a risky move. Part of me really wants to get over ISIL. Part of me really wants this, but the amount of, like, fuck, look at the amount of antagonism that we get. It's just not worth it. Like, with Drenthe, I can still justify it because it's only Utrecht and Münster. But, like, holy hell. Fun fact that you just heard was Dutch. Because I believe it's like an old Flemish song thingamajig. Also, I love the fact that as we were talking about Dragoons and double weaving, the music went like, "I am free from temptation." I'm like, yes, the temptation to double weave. It's always there. Yeah, sure. Not that we're gonna be doing much, but you know, I assume it's a water they require for, oh, just superiority. Insulted us. Fair. But yeah, like it's generally, or that. Also fair. But yeah, we gain classic scholasticism, and then we move into expanded archives so that we can. Also, if you want to know how quick a war can be over, it's already at 100%. Yeah, and that's the thing, is like I said, like that's the thing about stuff like Dragoon, but also tanking and healing, is that there's just no downtime. Which is like holy hell. Okay. Ooh. Brandenburg. Who's very well. Oh, that's interesting. Sage May now, don't know how to go. That. I genuinely feel for the people that are playing Black Mage, to be honest. Like, every 10 levels they have to relearn everything. Which is just... Ooh, an ad jump scare. Ooh, thank you very much for reminding me of that. In that case, we are temporarily on pause. And if on the YouTube side you want to go ahead and support me, you can do so by following on YouTube or subscribing, I guess, on YouTube, which is still weird. It's like, it has such a fundamentally different connotation on YouTube versus Twitch. But if on YouTube you want to help, subscribe, I guess, on YouTube. The Silent Hill pod should be going up at some point this weekend. And after that, we are without VODs for a bit until the Star Wars collection comes out. Oh, interesting. The community ambassador is actually asking about the Quelps and Ghibellines situation. That might imply that they will probably be changing, that they might want to change that situation in a reasonably soonish patch. That's interesting. Called Jeff Goldblum. Oh, good lord, what kind of ad did you get? Also, Joshua, if you are genuinely gonna be trying Black Mage, then I feel for you. May whatever god you believe in have mercy on your soul. If you are on Twitch and you want to help me, you can always subscribe with money and help me with the next big expense, which is a GPU that can actually handle new stuff at some point. Don't worry, I don't have any real inclinations to believe it will be much more that I will be able to get a GPU until 2030 at the minimum, but, you know, maybe I win the lottery at some point. Also, Joshua, I should mention that I'm very happy to see that you didn't decide to go ahead and start leveling Dragoon last night after our conversation, because, good lord, if you are a mage kind of person, Dragoon is genuinely hell. Like, the Dragoon becomes genuine hell if you don't like being up close to people, so... Although you can always use a quickly level it through Palace of the Dead if you want to. No, doesn't necessarily hurt to have a close range DPS. Especially once the role quests get involved, in quite a few expansions in your case. That's fair. I will be honest, going from close range to mage definitely was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I am saying that with the full knowledge that I feel like it's easier to switch from close range to mage than that it is from mage to close range. Zurich has, okay, and whatever Chikoya's. So yeah, but like I was kind of talking with Joshua yesterday about sort of like now that he's entered Heavensward, and I was kind of discussing with him about how Heavensward is a bit weirdly two-faced at the start of the expansion, depending on if you've done the Dragoon quests or not. Present lobby and then do what we did last time, which is pressuring diplomacy. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about, in case you've never played Final Fantasy XIV before, then first of all, this is a conversation that's just utterly alien to you, and I might as well be speaking ancient Latin, but you're just gonna have to deal with me here for a moment. But the thing is that I feel like Heavensward, depending on if you... Boo! Boo the joke! Boo! God damn it, I still need to laugh about it. God damn it, I hate myself sometimes. Good lord, that's such a bad joke. Anyway, as I was saying, yes, as I was saying, Heavensward is very closely linked to Dragoons, especially in sort of like thematic undertones. So, sort of, that's the worst part about the joke, is that you didn't even do it intentionally. Anyway, as I was saying, Heavensward has a big focus on Ishgard, and Ishgard is essentially the nation state for the Dragoons. So if you are a Dragoon player, the main story of Heavensward gets a fundamentally different feel to it compared to if you're not. Because first of all, if you're entering Ishgard as a Dragoon, you already have certain foreknowledge. You know about what Dragoons are, you know about the Azure Dragoon, you have seen Estinium before. The Eye of Nidhogg has already been mentioned, which becomes important in the main story, but not until later. So you have all of these things that you are already familiar with. You're familiar with Ishgard, you're familiar with the culture. You've sort of been integrated into the culture to some extent as a Dragoon. So entering Ishgard, unlike other expansions where you always go in about as blind as possible, maybe with the exception of, I want to say, Monk and Stormblood, like you're always going in about as blind as everyone else. With Heavensward, it's pretty clear that if you go in as a Dragoon, it has a different, fundamentally different feel to the entire expansion. Whereas if you go in without having leveled Dragoon, you're essentially going in completely blind. Like, you've seen Central Coertas, and that's about where it ends. Like, you've not experienced the other side of Ishgard. And I find that fascinating. It feels a bit neater indeed. And like I said, you're just gonna have to deal with me. I might as well be speaking Ancient Latin if you don't play Final Fantasy XIV. That's not my problem. This is my stream. I decide what I talk about. Don't worry, we'll be talking about more EU5 in a moment. But I was kind of talking about it with Joshua yesterday. It's like, it's interesting how the expansion is very two-faced as a result. So, and I remember that Joshua said like, oh, I might level Dragoon now. And I'm like, oh, fuck no. Like, oh, fuck no. Going in blind is interesting, but like I said, it's more so about the feel of the expansion. Like, you get some additional lines. I think Heavensward by far has the most additional lines out of every expansion if you have Dragoon leveled. Simply because, like I said, it's like it's interlinked. Oh, absolutely. Like, I'm at level like 58 and I still only have one AoE. Like. So in the end, I'll leave it to you, Joshua, but if you feel like, hey, it's interesting to... If you at some point feel in the expansion feel like, oh, you know, like I kind of still want to have Dragoon leveled because it feels neat to do this single dungeon as a Dragoon, then I'm not gonna fault you. I'll just say, use Palace of the Dead. You'll level it in like 5 hours to level 50. Yeah, I know. I'm currently stuck at level 58. What I will say, though, speaking from experience, because I started as a Dragoon, so I never had like the opposite experience. The level 55 dungeon as a Dragoon feels so fucking satisfying. Like, no other class comes close to that. It's like doing that dungeon, like as a dragoon, is like just. It's sort of like the same with a fight later on that I'm not gonna spoil, where it's like it kind of feels like the canonical way to beat that fight is as a dragoon. Like otherwise, it feels like that just feels to me at least. Anyway, back to EU5, because I've been talking about an MMO, and let's be honest here, the majority of people do not care about it. Also, they've actually added an additional jump now, so you can also jump forward, which I'm still getting used to. And I will say though, I have not yet fallen into pits so far with it. That's me knocking on wood. If you know, you know. Anyway, let's go back to EU5 and the case of revenge. Spine shattered, I've not the damage. Oh, come on! This is so mean. Anyway, speaking of stories about vengeance. Our vengeance to Münster. I mean, like, the thing is, partially the reason I'm partially talking about is because we essentially need to get back to where we were. Into the Dragon Dive to make it even bigger and made it the other one. I mean, the problem is you don't get Dragonfire Dive until, like, I believe you said it, actually, it's 64. $50, there we go. See, that's how much. See, the best way to put it is what someone once said at the start of Heavensward. I don't know the names of my buttons, I just hit them. Alright, 64 is when you can finally start chaining the melee without having that awkward middle pause within it. Yeah, that makes sense. To quote a machinist from like 10 years ago, I don't know the names, I just hit my buttons. And they do damage. In the meantime, we are seeing occupied by the country of Oldenburg. Why? Show superiority, okay. Okay, scholarly treaties. We are getting close to the moment that a certain plague is gonna start existing. Also, in the meantime, are we... Yeah, fair. How did you like Summoner, actually? Because I know you moved over to Whitepage. To be fair, that is how you play Ninja, I believe, Silent. But yeah, no, don't worry. Don't apologize for speaking the truth. Silent, don't apologize for speaking the truth on this one. I asked Joshua if he liked Summoner, because I know he started out as an Arcanist. Like Summoner, good to hear! You're one of the few. Summer, I mean, to be fair, Summer is also fun. Not necessarily... Let's move you into Court of Culture. It's really interesting because, like, so many people dislike it's my only DPS. Okay, so I will say this. I know you're still on the free trial, Joshua, and I'm not certain how much Silent agrees with me on this one. But it might be useful later down the line, not right now, once you get the full game, to get one close combat class leveled. Yes, Joshua is on the free trial. Ooh, look at that rolling R. Yes, you know I'm from Rotterdam. As a result. Oh, yeah, right. Melee physical, and then Endwalker replaces that by yeah, they can split up again in Endwalker. So what I will say, Joshua, is once you start getting towards Shadowbringers, is to get at the very least a close combat, to get one of every class level. So a close combat, a ranged, magical, healer, and a tank. Because the role quests do all end with a capstone. But all of that will make sense once you get to Shadowbringers, which won't be for a while. Speaking of which, I believe the live letter was today. I haven't actually seen it yet because I started streaming right as the live letter began. But I'm really curious to know if they've told us where we're going in 8.0. But yeah, as I explained to Joshua yesterday, at level 70 you get a capstone quest for your class, and then like class quests are done because the developers realized it just wasn't possible. I mean, to be fair, he's been liking it so far on the free trial. I think, and I'm speaking for Joshua here partially, but I think the reason that he wanted to get the game, and then I mentioned like, oh yeah, in December the expansion will come out, and he was like, oh yeah, I'll just wait for that, which fair. Like that's very fair to just wait until the expansion comes out in December. Like 7.5 will release in, yeah, unless of course he's like done way like in the middle of the summer, he doesn't want to wait 5 months, which also fair. But I'm trying to think, like 7.5 comes out in, I want to say June-ish, give or take. Like they are currently on 7.45, so 7.5 comes out in June. That means 7.55 will come out around August, and that gives us about 4 months for the next expansion, which I believe is roughly the time frame. And I haven't seen anything. Like I said, I didn't see the live letter yet. I wasn't started streaming the moment it began, but I think that is the current idea. Okay, we finished integrating North Holland. Good. I mean, to be fair, the trailers lie. I think the community has by now accepted the fact that the trailers always lie to you. Not like the trailers in game, but the trailers that they show for the patch notes. Like, part of the fun is figuring out which belongs to what. You don't see a lot of black mages. That is true. I'm not certain why, to be honest. Oh god. Oh no, don't begin. Oh, I remember that. Oh. One of the things I will say though, the period leading up to Shadowbringers was genuinely amazing as a community. It is genuinely always a fun game to play, which is essentially the game of, is this main story or not? And the answer often will surprise you. In the most horrible way possible, but still it will. Still it will. Like, good lord, it is, yeah. Anyway, we're almost done with late feudal relations. 2% will move over to peasants. It is genuinely amazing. And obviously I'll be streaming 7.50 once it comes out. Speaking of streaming, I might, this is like the kind of might that has like multiple asterisks attached to it. Discord stream the election night results on Wednesday. But that's a might with so many asterisks attached to them that it fills the entire screen. because we have county elections, so it could be interesting to kind of see like how the Dutch do their county elections. But like I said, there's like a million asterisks attached to that one. And it will be a Discord stream. Which is my thing, and this is not on YouTube, so I do apologize for that. There we go. Oh, and I should probably mention, if you are like, oh, Tribe is a political scientist, I wonder about this thing about him regarding the Middle East. Don't. I will scream, and it will be the kind of scream that will break glasses. Like, there's your warning. Exactly. I have done my punishment. I have done my thesis on the Middle East. I have done it. I never have to look at it again, and I never shall. Okay, there we go. Late feudal relations. It's 1 month early, actually. Nice. Moving into medieval military for the army morale and then the peasant levies. But we are not gonna be warring anytime soon because... There is something coming our wicked way. Oh, hang on, Austria's now. Oh, wait, hang on, Austria! Did I ever mention how much I like you? God, those mountains. Oh yeah, something wicked this way comes. Austria. Did I ever mention Austria that I love your Apfelstrudel? Like, amazing. Like, God, those Alps, they are beautiful, aren't they? You know, I'm sure you guys already have fish, but we've gotten ourselves some fish and chips. Absolutely lovely. Try it. Absolutely try it. Like, God, did I mention? Yeah. I totally agree. Salzburg should be part of Austria. Yeah, no, totally agree on that. Say anyway. You mind if I quickly grab more than I bargained for? No, good. Say, yeah, no, yeah, Bohemia, absolutely horrible. Yeah, no, yeah. We've put one of our diplomats with you. Don't kill him, please. Pretty please. With like cherry on top. Please. Please don't kill him. Oh, God. God damn it. You're not wrong there. I mean, to be fair, yes, that's up to diplomatic interpretation. Given the era we are in, I was actually I actually had to take a sip of water in the middle. Oh, you. Now I'm imagining Tribe just like sweet talking Austria and like, I'm just imagining Holland and Austria as like a divorced couple still sharing the same bed. Like that's currently what I'm imagining. Is like Austria and Holland like are a divorced couple, but they can't leave home yet, and like as a result, they have to share the same bed, and it's just all very awkward. Oh yeah, no, true. But like in this particular game, it's like sweet. I mean, to be fair, like you're like, oh yeah, he's just sweet talking. That's genuinely how diplomacy often meant. Like remember, diplomacy was, especially in this time, often kings to kings. So a diplomat was often speaking as like a representative of the king. So yeah, he would probably go like, oh yeah, no, they probably went like, oh yeah, no, Holland, oh yeah, no, king is like twice removed nephew of yours. You know, like, just imagine a cigarette, like, oh yeah, no, but suddenly it's twice removed nephew of yours. Yeah, no, we were surprised to learn that as well. You know, so anyway, about that whole taking more than we bargained for. Oh yeah, see, I knew. Family, am I right? You know, you can agree with. See, you agree with that. And to be honest, as dumb as this sounds, there is precedence for this. Like during World War I, the German and Russian Kaisers, the German Kaiser and the Russian Tsars, started using their nicknames. As sort of like the month towards as sort of like we were in that weird month between the assassination and the start of World War I, there really was a period where the German Kaiser just started calling the Tsar Nikki, because they had grown up together, and so therefore they, in sort of like a final way to stop what everyone could see was going to be a war that would destroy nations, they tried one final time using their childhood names. Yeah, this was World War I. So even though I'm kind of jokingly pretending as if I'm like a used car salesman, yeah, that's genuinely how it went. It was like, oh yeah, Nikki, would you know, like, he would go like, oh yeah, this would be the end of nations, please reconsider your stance, Nikki, instead of using Tsar Nicholas. And he would, you know, and he would write back that, you know, that this can only be done under certain circumstances, really. So, like, for as much as we're joking about this, like, there is precedence for this. And it's one of those things that is often forgotten. Like, this is often sort of like where people from republics like to say, oh yeah, you know, what's the use of a kingdom monarchy? Why don't you become a republic as the Netherlands? Well, A, it costs a lot of money, and let's be honest here, we got better shit to spend money on. And B, as annoying as it sounds, especially to Europeans at times, and I'm saying that as a European, kings are still higher in the hierarchy compared to presidents. Like, the president of the United States is a bit of an exception. Yeah, King George was a family as well. Just about every single European was family. The Dutch King Willem was also a family of Wilhelm, of Nicholas, of George. So it was sort of like everyone was interbreeding with everyone, because there's a reason that's a joke. But yeah, like, it's... Yes. But it's like, it's sort of like what we sometimes forget. It's like, for as much as we like, as annoying as it is, and to us as Europeans as well, is kings are higher still to this day in the diplomatic hierarchy. Kings are just higher than presidents. Like, yeah, you know, the French president can come and talk with Saudi Arabia, but if the Dutch king comes along, then the Dutch king will just have more power, because it's a king speaking to a king, which is just of a fundamentally different order. Or say that China would still have had an emperor, then if America would have sent their president, sure, you know, the two superpowers. But if, say, Sweden sends their king, then Sweden can punch above their weight, because it's an emperor and a king speaking to each other. Like, they're on a fundamentally different level. Japan, yeah, no, that is true. For all intents and purposes, he's a king for all intents and purposes. But yeah, he's an emperor in name. So it's like, if you wonder, like, okay, well, why doesn't the Dutch just become a republic? Well, A, it costs a lot of money. B, we get a bunch of free holidays out of being a kingdom. And C, diplomatically, being a kingdom is surprisingly useful. Sovereign. Well, good sir, it sounds like someone wants to do one of my former exams. Exactly, yes. Don't worry, I've got an exam prepared for you that I had to do myself. The good sir wants to play the role of political scientist. He's going to wish he didn't. Also, ads starting in about a minute, so do enjoy those. They have been hanged, drawn, and quartered for your pleasure. That's only on the Twitch side. On the YouTube side, there is no ad. God damn it. These kings are dying too fast. Okay, here's a question. Do I want to declare war on Utrecht? There is an argument to be made to wait. Like, there is a genuine argument that we could wait, but the other argument is that if we don't do it, then our immortal rival shall. So therefore we're going to just declare war on Utrecht. Hang on, I am saying that. How is our... Yes, we shall declare war. War it shall be. I want to say something else as well, and I'm not gonna do it. Like, I wanted to do a very Michael Jackson hee hee. I don't know why, it just came up to me. I am old enough to remember Michael Jackson. If you don't, ask your parents. Ooh, hang on, we can do a 2-for-1 deal on this one. Hang on, can we? Oh, it's going to be very close, but we could do... Jeff Goldblum. What is this ad that you are seeing? Silent, genuinely, what is the fucking Jeff Goldblum ad that you keep seeing? Like, now curious minds require to know. Like, genuinely silent. What is this godforsaken Jeff Goldblum ad that you keep seeing? Yeah, you're the only person that is talking about Jeff Goldblum ads in this chat. With Jeff Goldblum in it somewhere. Neither do I. Anyway, we're currently smooching up to the Pounded of the Rhine. Which, I mean, I do have to say, I don't know much about the Pounded of the Rhine, but like, Really? Could it really be that bad? Okay, what in theory would that... Okay. In theory we can grab Zutphen. In practice we're not going to. We wanted to get over ice, so we could grab Zutphen, but like... That's gonna cost so much. There we go, please and thank you. Also currently strengthening government. Minting needs to start going up. Port maintenance needs to stay up. Communalism is still going up. That's exactly what we want due to the revoked privilege. Munster has joined. See here, our mortal rivals, the Munchterians. Look at them. No bicycle paths. No 15 parties in parliament. No taxes on white houses. Makes one shiver with anxiety. You can never trust one of them. Who knows what goes on in the mind of a Munchterian? Only the devil knows. Only the devil can know what goes on in a mind like that. I don't know if I should quit the joke or not, to be honest. I kind of like you. Normally I use these voices whenever I'm talking to myself, to be honest, so... Don't ask. So part of me is like, I should keep the joke going. But there's not much I can say at this point. Also, thank you very much for the reminder to hydrate. I actually just did that. There we go. Peasant levy has been done. Communalism is now at... Let's have a look. 30 exactly. Oh, cool. That gives us 99. Interesting. So medieval sailing blockade. Like I said, we want to get war score cost. In the meantime, it's time to reset our stuff with England and France. Also quickly check and see if anything has happened. I very much doubt it. Let's see. Has anything happened in regards to politics? The answer is no. At least not anything we are going to discuss on this stream. Let's get the scriptorium going, and we also want to get the... Good lord, and I only has 12 fast. Let's also get the library soon. First things first, let's get the scriptorium. Let's also start working on Amsterdam. Let's get a salt. Ooh, salt bait guild. Neat. And the total death count of 63 million. Hooray? Question mark? Does that count as hooray? I'm not sure. Look at my hometown. It even has a little cathedral. Cathedral was actually known as the pepper mill. Because it like looks like a pepper mill from side, but looking at it sideways. Which, yeah, this is this. Still, something that is interesting to me is like whenever I walk through my city, I'm like, wow, if I had lived here like 200 or 300 years ago, where I'm currently sitting would be farmlands, even though it's like maybe 100 meters away from the city center. It still would just purely be farmlands because that's how far away cities were from each other. Which always just kind of messes with my mind. Could get a surgeonry. Oh, look. Oh, yeah, no, we actually do need that for the local crown power. Should have realized that earlier. Oh. Yeah, like, it's... the speed at which cities have grown over the years is genuinely just batshit insane. Like, half my city is now... It lives in a neighborhood that didn't exist 30 years ago. It's like if you were to try to explain that to like someone from like the 1970s, like good luck. It's not gonna happen. Oh no, I think it's ago. Yeah, I believe it's actually the same in like Ohio, where you can see the was it Ohio? But it is like something called the something gap or something, where you can see the effects of the Homesteading Act, where you're essentially driving along grids of 1 mile by 1 mile, because the Homesteading Act would like just cut up the country in squares of, I want to say like 7 miles by 7 miles, with like a city in the middle. And that they just like use that from the border with Michigan all the way to the Pacific coast, which is a fascinating bit of seeing history through grid layout. Sort of in the same way that I think it's like every state west of Michigan, like from Ohio onward. But another way is the way that towns on the American East Coast are much closer together because they were made in pre-colonial times, or they were made during colonial times. And as a result, towns had to be... Oh, here's another... I'm European. I don't need to know which state is west of which one. I know it's like Midwest onward up to the Pacific coast. Yeah, I'm not asking you to know where Utrecht is, but no, genuinely, like you can see it in like where on the East Coast, towns are much closer together. Because since it was in pre-colonial time, or during colonial times, in pre-car times, what needed to happen is that as a farmer, or as someone, or as a marketeer, or someone, or someone owning a market stall, you need to be able to go to the next village, trade, and then come back before the sun went down during most days. So it was around... so most cities were around, or most towns were around 7 kilometers in a straight line away from each other. That's something you can still see on the East Coast, where nowadays towns often have sort of like conglomerated together, but you can still see that sort of like line of like around 7 kilometers, or about 5-ish miles, between towns, between town centers. Because that was the average distance that you could get a horse to walk, sell the goods that you had made, and then come back to your own town. Before the sun went down. Because once the sun went down, you know, it was you were essentially in bandit territory. And it's something that you see in Europe as well, where a lot of towns, like over here, Zwolle and Deventer are 20 minutes by train, 25 minutes per train. But it would have been fundamentally different worlds just 200 years ago. Like you would go from Zwolle to Windesheim. From Windesheim you would go to Olst. From there you could take a ferry down into Gelderland. And all of those, people would go from Zwolle to Olst and just never travel further. Like from there, they would sell their goods in Olst. In Olst, it would be picked up by someone else. Or it would be bought by someone else, who would then sell it in Deventer. By train, it is 25 minutes. This section right here. But just 200 years ago, the majority of these people never interacted with each other. They lived in the same province. They lived in the same country. They technically spoke the same dialect. But the communication happened with smaller towns in between. Items constantly hopping. And in America, as you move further west, you sort of see the effects of the transportation revolution happen, where towns become much further away, but also towns become part of deserts. Like, the mere fact that stuff exists in the desert is a sign that a transportation revolution on some level has happened. So you can sort of see the history of transportation. This is not only in America, this is in Canada, this is in Brazil, this is in Mexico, this is in France as well. Germany less so because of the Holy Roman Empire. You see this in Italy, Spain. Like any place where there is a movement from the center to the periphery, you can see the transportation revolution in simply the layout of towns and how they sort of, the distances between them. Like Russia is another good example of that. Where there is a core in Moscow and St. Petersburg. And then as you move further east, towns only really started existing after the 1800s, once the railway lines actually connected the periphery to the center. So it's one of those things that like just kind of fascinates me, how you can see that transportation happen throughout the ages. And let's also get ourselves a library up and running here for the literacy and monthly population growth. And last time around, this is where it went wrong. Like, we're rightfully back at where it went wrong last time. Now, the goal is to become the Netherlands before 1450. If we take control of Friesland, should be more than doable. But the real one is plutocracy. That's the real challenge. That's the challenge that we're going to be focused on. Milan. What is this? Brecknock. No idea where Brecknock is, but sure. Move mining laws towards burger mining operations. And that is, I believe, the first time that we move away from aristocracy to... or that at very least it moves down to 0. Speaking of which, how is everything going? Okay, professional armies is starting to get in here. We are improving opinion with a bunch of people, including the Paladin of the Rhine, just in case. You are still... Oh! Well, if I had known that, why not? Barely due to enemy, allied to enemy and target opinion. Oh, if that's still true in 5 years, then we might want to keep Frisia around for a bit, and we might want to move to Gelders. And the reason for that is that Harderwijk will connect Amersfoort and Zwolle and Kampen with each other. And that means that our control no longer goes purely by sea in the case of Kampen, but also goes in through Harderwijk. Because as you can see here, Kampen gets 15% due to being on the coastline. But you can see here that we have Amersfoort is 51, and if we can move it through Amersfoort, then that will give us like plus 20 control at a minimum. Which, yeah, hang on. We can actually make a second law change. And I kind of want to do that. So the additional law gives us decentralization, monthly legitimacy, state power, and crown power. But if we favor the... If we favor the wealthy, that gives us more plutocracy as well, and it gets rid of the minus 10% crown power problem. Which, especially early on, is important. So we could yoink... I mean, to be fair, we also could have taken control of Gelderland, but... Like, we can't do that anyway because of antagonism problems. Like I said, we're sort of doing this like in like... One for laws here, one for... Ooh, professional armies is now officially... Oh, that is interesting. Because we're gonna need professional armies, but at the same time, we might want to wait until we're done with pressuring diplomacy, because I know myself, and the moment that I start working on professional armies, then, like, there's no coming back from that. Because we need to get the armory, recruitment laws... Pardon me. I don't know what is going on with me right now. We have men-at-arms. Soldiers will be limited as men-at-arms. Okay, cool. Why? You have high opinion of us! Why is Britain focused on fucking South Holland again? Look at the British Isles. Does this look like a unified British Isles? Is this a unified British Isle? It sure doesn't look unified to me. Why are they focused on us? Well, the good news is that they've declared war on the Holy Roman Empire. Oh, no, don't worry, we will deal with this in a moment. the AI, the way the AI works, genuinely, I have no fucking clue at times. The way the AI is meant to work is that it focuses on its own mainland first, which means in the case of England, Durham, Lancaster, Wales, merge Scotland. Let's just do this. Let's just fucking do this. I mean, it's not as if we have a choice. Hypothetically, what would you take for a peace offer? What? Hang on. Oh god. Oh, this is just getting worse. Ignoring for a moment the fact that it takes that we cannot stop declaring war on each other for 12 months. All they want at this point in time is $44. If the war were to end right now, 44. What's the point of this war? Let's just fucking do this. We need to survive until 1356. That's sort of like the main focus here. We need to survive until... I'm so fucking hoping that France will now declare war on Britain to make use of the fact that they are currently occupied. I am genuinely hoping that France will now declare war to make sure that Britain stays occupied. Like, why? Let me rephrase it. Why wouldn't they do that? Like, let me rephrase this. Why wouldn't they do that? This is the ultimate opportunity to just grab a bunch of stuff from Britain. If I were France, I would be laughing right now. This is also why it always is useful to have a high level of like anything with the Holy Roman Empire. With the Holy Roman Emperor, because they will defend you in such a scenario. Also, in case you're wondering, this is why, as any country in the Low Countries, you want to like beeline peasant levies. Because we are now at +8 on Britain. Like, look at the insanity going on here. We are at +8 on fucking Britain. +15! How are we at +15? What the fuck is even going on here? You know what? We might as well try. So earlier... Okay, so if you want to know what the hell's going on... Earlier, I joked that we could in theory grab Brugge. Because it's part of the Low Countries. In order to become the Netherlands, we just need 28 somewhere in the Low Countries. That's it. That's all that's needed. I also love the fact that they are like, oh yeah, we will want all of this. I'm like, buddy. At the moment, we're the ones that are winning. Like, cute. Okay, so that is currently being occupied by the... Oh, no, wait, hang on. The Paladins of the Rhine is currently in control. Okay, that makes things more annoying. Still, though, the Holy Roman Emperor is in control. This is why you always want to go ahead and up your everything. This is... What kind of lunacy made Britain decide to declare war? What is the logic that went on here? Like, I'm trying to figure out what the logic is behind why Britain's AI decided to declare war. And I can't find it. I am so fucking done. I am so fucking done. England, sure. We have high opinion of France. We have high relations with France. 'Okay, so we have high relations with France. And we just get a random no casus belli war for aggression. Why? You are intricate web weaver, fierce negotiator, and a battlefield medic. Two hours for fucking nothing. Because two countries that we, in theory, have high relations with. What's the fucking point of increasing relations in that case? Like, what's the fucking logic behind this? I don't... Yeah, this is it. I'm done. I can handle England declaring war for no seemingly real reason. You know, AI does what AI does. But France at the same time not only can't, but here's my question. Why? Like, the fact that they had a province... The thing is with England, I can understand the logic behind England, because they had a parliament-approved claim on South Holland, probably Zeeland, and they were like, you know... Like, fine. I understand the AI logic behind Britain, I understand. They've got a parliamentary approved claim on Zeeland. Zeeland is a vassal of the Netherlands. they got seriously, from their perspective, they got seriously unlucky that the Holy Roman Emperor jumped in to protect us. That's the logic I understand. The logic of France, I don't. What's the point in something like improve relations if it's just not going to help? There's nothing I could have done otherwise. I could not have asked for an alliance. I could not have asked for this. I could not have asked for that. There's nothing I could have done to stop this. Just at all. The problem here isn't so much that France attacks. If France had parliamentary approved claim on Honno, fucking fine. That's logic that can be understood. That's the kind of logic that a player would use. But in order to do, and this is a problem just bigger with EU5, one of the problems that hasn't been fixed yet. If the human player declares war using a no casus belli, which is what France just did, we get massive penalties to our stability, we gain massive war exhaustion immediately, and we gain massive antagonism. Why is that not the case for the AI? I mean, I'm sure it is the case for the AI. But it sure doesn't feel like it. It's not the first time that I've seen the AI go on, even on 1.1, go on a bit of a rampage in regards to like using non-casus belli. As a player, not using a casus belli is something you do when you are desperate. Like when you are absolutely desperate and you just know that this is like the one shot. This is like the moon shot to make sure that you can do stuff. Because the consequences are immense. So why the fuck is France using it on Hainaut? The AI logic, in my opinion, should be treating non-casus belli wars in the same way that a player does. Which is essentially using it as like almost like a moonshot, like single shot. This is the defining war of the campaign. If this goes wrong, you're screwed. If France wanted to declare war on Hainaut, there were myriad other ways to do that. The fact that it is that it has no casus belli involved, and it's just like France is just kind of feeling like it. I can't plan around that. Like, and I am genuinely a bit annoyed, because in the case of the last campaign, it was done just like, we had a lot of fun. It was just like England in combined with Munster. That's fair, fully understood. Player would do the exact same thing. You know, like, I fully understand the logic behind the AI of Munster seeing us, you know, they're in a coalition against us. Fair, you know, like, I can totally see, I can see the logic at work there. In this case, I can't. As a player, I need to be able to understand the logic at work. Because I can plan for a lot as a player. I can, in fact, I've tried the Holland campaign quite a few times. So I've sort of like gotten into a bit of a groove there. But there is some stuff I just can't prepare for. And a random no-CB war on a province that has essentially zero value, while France is still in the middle of the 100 Years' War. That's logic I can't get behind. Because as the player, during the 100 Years' War, you cannot grab land from during the 100 Years' War outside of your own home region. Because that's the entire point. Like, France and England are at war and they're completely focused on that. That's the logic. As a player, I can't understand this logic. Like, I don't know what the AI went through. So that's it for today. We spent a solid 4 hours. Like I said, at some point OBS crashed. So I'm gonna see if I can get multi-chat working on Discord for next time. Streams fundamentally return on the 27th. That's in 2 weeks for the Star Force Legacy Collection. We're gonna be going through all 3 games. So that's gonna be lots and lots of fun. Also, the last Star Force English translated anime episode is now up on Capcom's YouTube channel as well. I don't know when the next stream will be. I don't know. I think I'm gonna burn a croissant. Deliberately. Have a good night, guys. See you whenever the next stream is.